Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
Welcome back, everyone, to NECC Valorant. My name is Fel, also joined here today by Los once again. It's been a while since you and I have had our fun up in the booth, but I think it's been more and well-deserved. How you feeling today, Carlos?
I'm feeling good. It is a long time coming to jump back onto the mic with you, fellow, and we got a good matchup today, and I'm excited to jump into things. Today, it's going to be Murray State Blue versus Finlandia out here from Navigator's White Division. This should be a good one. Both these squads are looking at a middle-of-the-pack scenario and just trying to claw their way to the top.
Yeah, they've had a lot of really close games so far during this season, but quickly we'll take a look at Murray State's roster first and foremost, kind of see who they've got on the playing field today in this best-of-3 series. Then we'll go look at the roster of Finlandia as well in just a few short minutes to get to see what they've got on the board as well, because I think we have roughly around 9 or so players, maybe even more than that, on the side of Murray State. So we really could be anybody, perhaps, kind of a Wild West in their roster. That way they always have a full 5 in play on the game day, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, it's good to have that deep pool of players. You don't know who is ready to run it, but we got Beagle Bites, Titan Hunters, Shibe, Carbon Drifter, and Thick Girl 9000. Gotta say, that is a fantastic name.
Yeah, gotta love it. TV production I found a bit interesting there for Hunter. Personally, I thought that was more of maybe like a personally a bit of an odd choice, but kind of interesting. That must be a really good icebreaker during conversation. To be honest, I have not heard someone going into that career in quite some time. But we'll now head over, take a look at Finlandia's road, take a look at the map bands as well. Shortly afterwards, so we have got Nero Hermit, Nikto, Mr. Guy F, and also Bash, followed up by Astra Paladin, with also some pretty interesting majors as well, Carlos.
I want to highlight back on the previous team that Thick Girl also apparently cooks good mac and cheese. Was that one of the special attributes that were coming out from that one? Well, let's see if they can stand up if their mac and cheese is as good, or if their plays are as good as their mac and cheese. Well, we'll find out. But I mean, I'm excited for both these squads to come through, and I want to know what maps we're running with today, because we were getting a little bit of whispers that these squads are definitely willing to try some of the wackier maps, a little less afraid, and when it comes to what they're running on the server.
Yeah, and also we had the little eyes behind the scene by Bobby as well, our observer for tonight, that they were taking a very long time just talking amongst one another, deciding where do they actually want to go in a best of three. Always nice to have a little bit of friendly conversation when you are going to somewhere that's more than just a best of one. And this match kind of has something on the line because we're in that middle end of the season. Both these teams are very similar in terms of scoring. I believe it's 3-1 for Murray State. Yep. And then 2-2 for Finlandia. So these matches really do matter when you talk about seeding in terms of heading into the playoffs in a couple of weeks. That way they actually can go up against a different team perhaps and maybe have a good chance of advancing in that bracket. But these map bans, oh man, this is just absolute heat, Carlos.
It's expected that we have the Icebox ban. It's been a new adjustment since the most recent patch. B-Site has been adjusted. It isn't a tube that you can walk through on the bottom anymore, and Yellow has a new take, so maybe teams aren't ready to run with that new adjustment, so they want to play it safe, want to make sure that they could have a solid understanding of what's going on. But I'm not having a solid understanding. Breeze is the first map we're headed to, and all the way at the end, it's Fracture. I mean, Ascent, it's a gimme. Everyone is familiar with that one, but Fracture, fellow, Fracture. I'm excited.
Yeah, I will need to, go back into my notes about how Fracture is normally played at, because I have not seen it in such a long time. I think I've seen it maybe once or twice in play in my own time of personally casting this game. So it'll be a pretty interesting one, to say the least, if we get there. But Breeze and Ascent, we've seen these maps beforehand plenty of times. Ascent is a very default map. And then Breeze, it's been given a little more love in the past. But with the 4.04 patch going live, maybe Breeze could be a bit harder to hold once we go into that post plan because of the Viper nerf, and she is very favorable when you go to such a big map such as Breeze, of course.
I actually want to talk about that nerf because we may have some adjustments, because that patch, it touched a lot of agents throughout this, but Mr. Guy FU, not concerned, and I think we might have a similar pick out from Carbon Drifter. They want to make a commitment. I will say that while there is a bit of a pullback in terms of the strength that Viper has, it isn't as large as what Astra was hit with. Now, we also were mentioning, is there going to be a Neon in play? Retortsky might be bringing that one to the server.
Oh, that would be a pretty interesting one for sure. I, once again, have not seen her in play, but she is just a very powerful fragger put in the right hands, and it can really make a lot of space for your team. Once again, the dominance you can have in that post plant position could be phenomenal. Oh yeah, we are in for an absolute treat. We're seeing a lot of interesting agents all in selection. Astra, Viper, Breach as well on top of the Neon. I mean, this is just kind of a left hook out of nowhere, so to speak.
This is going to be heat, and it is that commitment to Astra. I'm not surprised, because there's so much range in terms of how far you could send out your stars. Well, Brimstone did get that update. It's only by 500 that the extension for his Sky Smokes was, so it's not a huge difference maker, especially when you're on a massive map like Breeze. Astra, very much so a viable pick just to have some full map control, double controller. Good to see, excited to see it, but also no no real entry outside of Neuro Hermit on the side of Finlandia. That will be their play. I mean, maybe they can work off of the Owl Drone when it comes to their side on the offense, but we got to worry about how their setups are looking here on the defense on a pistol round.
Well, you did mention the defense. Things look pretty normal, 3-2 split on both sites, plenty of util being established, having both the Killjoy and also the Viper on the board. And then across the pond for the attack, we've got basically like a 4-1 push from what it looks to be so far, as this buy phase is just about ready to come to an end. So really nothing out of the ordinary in all honesty. You kind of want to just play that numbers game, especially when there's only pistols on the board. So going for a very aggressive push inside of just one of the two sites is a pretty straightforward approach, and really one I cannot blame. But the defense, they've got the number of Murray State with that recon bolt, so we could see a rotate happen much sooner than expected because of that intel, Carlos.
Oh, yeah, a bit of an adjustment. More players are making their way toward mid, and will be Astra the first one to take a peek around the pillar. However, Nikto playing it safe by that connector. They don't want to make the first contact. It is difficult when you're facing against 5 players running it through, but maybe double doors rather is the play. The first flash coming out from the breach. Relay bolts don't find anything, but here we go. It's Fushi starting things off. They have Titan Hunter in the back. The last defender, the last bastion here for Asai is Astral Paladin. They get nothing. Recon Dart finds no players, and it's a whole easy plan. And now, only one player left, Neuro Hermit.
Yeah, I mean, great rotation in 3 double door. Still not fully backing off of the A site, but making sure that information does get basically dried up as quickly as it began to strike water. And there we have it, a team ace to start things off for Murray State, as everyone finds a little bit of success and a bit more ultimate points to go in towards their way, with a lot of people having plenty of impact on that round.
Money for everyone here today, starting it off for Murray State. Nice, and they will invest that immediately over into some marshals. Beagle Bites getting a little up close and personal. We'll opt for that stinger. The only one not going for the marshal. Let's see if that one pans out. Should be interesting. And standard pickup in that second round. They've got no money, got no cash, not looking to spend anything. So it's classics all around.
Well, plenty of long ranges you can try to contend with, and when there's most likely only pistols on the board for the defense, this is going to be pretty sharp shooting so long as this toxic screen can eventually go down to open up those sight lines. Once again, some space being made slowly, at least by the Astra, of Beagle trying to work their way up near Pyramid. I don't believe anyone has actually located their position. There goes up the wall from the Neon, could potentially allow for a post-plant position. And with this retake game now being forced against Finlandia, it's going to be a pretty challenging one, because once again, they only have pistols, and trying to play for range up against the Marshals with only classics, it's going to be a very tall hill to climb here, Carlos.
Ooh, there was a nice little dink coming out from Bash. Maybe that could be converted into something else. However, they have to get through Fushi with the Marshal. Hasn't found success. Here comes the fault line. Slows down for Mr. Guy FU. And they'll take the first hit. But maybe Bash can continue their onslaught. The good shots with the classic find a little bit of success. It's a 2v3. But I don't know if they have enough time to get onto the spike. There is those Nano Swarm grenades. Maybe they could stop it. Yeah, Nikto had to back off. They're all waiting in the cave entrance. There's no way they could get this one defused.
Pretty successful round in the bag for Murray State, and they may have not had the, classical lineups established, but they did have the snake bites to eventually stop that plant, or pardon that diffuse on towards the spike. My mistake. So it's still going to be a second round in the pocket of Murray State. Thankfully, though, we can finally see rifles on the board for Finlandia, so they should have a much easier time trying to contend with some of those mid-range engagements and maybe slowing down the onslaught, like you mentioned earlier, Carlos, of Murray State. But there are actually 2 Vandals on the board for both that duelist of the Neon, Ritter Sky, and also we have Beagle Bites with a Vandal as well.
Will be an interesting one. I definitely want to secure this round. If they don't, it'll be a mixed buy for the next 2. Nikto, the first point of contact, spots him out. It's the turret, though. Now realizes it. Fushi not checking out from connector. Will be the first one to go down. Neuro Hermit with a nice shot will back off. However, Gratorsky is taking the offensive and heads to the back of sight. Makes that first shot there for Finlandia. However, everything is going back and forth. Carbon Drifter had some success up mid, but will face the wrath of Guy FU. Regardless, spikes down. It's time for the retake.
Are they aware of Titan Hunter's position, though, Carlos? I'm not too sure about it. Spots at the gun barrel of one. Nice shot there with the Marshall, but there goes the refrag by Bash. Much better round out for the defense. It's going to be that default 2-to-1 split going in round number 4, but man, a huge loss of life still, even though we still had Finlandia come out on top.
Yeah, and their money is definitely going to be tight going forward. Not enough for those full buys. They may even consider going for a rifle, potentially some light armor. I think that will be the move for Neuro Hermit. Or maybe not. They're messing around, but regardless, you have to go for a buy, because if you win this round and you don't have the weapons to continue it, what exactly was the point of winning it? You're just going to get back on the back foot, and Murray State is coming back. Maybe earn their 3rd round, maybe convert even to a 4th. But I think it's necessary. You got to put in some money. Not going to be the case this time for Finlandia.
Hermit gonna be trying to get aggressive all the way down long, but not able to spot anything just yet. Looks like we're having an A push being attended once again here by Murray State, just waiting for the smoke to go down. That way they can at least try to gather some proper pressure up near Pyramid, but so far it's just gonna be the waiting game, as they really haven't found all that much just yet. But here could be a big opening potentially by Gratorsky, just to at least cut off a couple of potential sightlines here by the defense, and once again make that space, which is exactly what you should be doing on that duelist role, of course.
It's all about Bash and their survivability at this moment. They have to stay alive, but Beagle Bite starts things off, and the second Bash goes for the peak, they are lit up. Neuro Hermit may be able to have some shots, but regardless, they're already hit. They're already legged. One more peek, one more bullet will be the end. They do have some backup now. Post plant setup is locked solid here for Murray State.
Well, we've got Nikto trying to walk their way in with the classic. May find one, but it's only gonna be that singular pick. Here comes Astral Paladin from the top rope. That is, once again, it's still a pretty rough predicament to have yourself into. A 1 versus 3 post plant. You're not able to gather any information with that recon bolt. I think we've got this round in the books for Murray State, and unfortunately, I don't think Astral Paladin can even grab a rifle to bring over and save into round number 5. They might try to attempt it, but Gratorsky, they're waiting with pretty ample patience, and that's going to be a 3rd round of boot now for Murray State.
That's a worthy try. You know, you brought down 2 rifles. The best chance you have is looking to make a recovery of it. Not the case, though. And Finlandia Lines should have some money to work with, and actually 2 ultimates. Bash can opt to use that Tour de Force, which I believe they already have activated it. Neuro Hermit may want to pop the Empress if things get a bit hairy. If they aren't overwhelmed immediately, could start a good retake scenario. But Murray State, they're having easy access onto A site. However, looking for a posture up to mid, keeping their options open.
We heard a Tour de Force being popped in the background. Neuro Hermit waiting near connector is going to get that first blood, and now begins to fall back. The aggression well needed there by Finlandia to confirm that man advantage very early on. The turret now spotting out some pocket intel as well into anyone going inside of B main. So this full mid commitment with having only a singular player near B main, has not really worked out as much as Murray State probably had anticipated, but they're not going to fall back just yet. Looks like they'll double down and just try their best to find some sort of refrag. Neuro Hermit out in the open gets spotted by Titan Hunter. Thankfully, Nikto is there to equalize, and Bash will get aggressive as well with that Tour de Force in pocket. Now 4 versus 2 in these last 50 seconds.
We got to watch out, because Gratorsky has someone coming from behind. It's Mr. Guy FU, and they already spotted him. The gun barrel around the corner, and that's the spike down. Regardless of what Carbon Drifter was able to pull off over on B site, they still had to recover that spike. It would have been a tall order to 1v4 that one without even getting the plant. So Finlandia Lions back at it again. Murray State didn't really have a solid plan for that round. They made it up to mid, but slowed down, especially when you don't have the spike make it onto the objective. You're split up. You don't have that connection to get the plant in. It just all fell apart.
So one of the main few issues for Murray State is, they've been going for a lot of kind of funnels. They aren't really doing any proper splits, especially later in the rounds when everyone's kind of on equal footing. And we're also not having a lot of intel being gathered without just face checking something. It is much harder on the attack when you don't have something like a Sova or like a main intel gatherer besides that Killjoy to gather intel. But at least they've got Toxic Screens and Neon's Wall for some sort of cover as well. Now Cosmic Divide, but 2 instant picks here for the defense. Thankfully, that Viper's Pit is still available here for Murray State, so maybe they could still hold on to the A site and maybe find some sort of refrag. But as Carbon is caught with their gun down, they'll eventually fall. Titan Hunter is there, but it is only Fushi now left to stand, and they've only got a Marshall and a Dream at this point, and I don't think that they're going to be much longed for this world. They might be put asleep next to those fishes, and we're going to have a third round now in the back pocket of Finlandia.
Nice round for Bash, specifically coming up with the 3K, taking the objective and moving into the Viper's Pit, I think is the biggest issue. If they were able to keep Carbon Drifter alive for a longer duration, just keep them out of harm's way, play around the inside, the outside of the pit, and just delay any retake, that would be their win condition. With Bash pushing in, finding Carbon with their pants down, sending out the snake bite, that was critical for their success. It left Fushi all on an island, and Titan Hunter was nowhere to be seen in the long haul, so they had no backup at all. And finally, Finlandia starting to find a flow, making their second round in a row, potentially bringing it to a third.
Hey, well, now actually the Cosmic Divide being popped, maybe the Ashra died before technically activating the ultimate, or I just simply misread a play. That could be possible. It happens from time to time. But once again, we'll see that instant aggression here by Murray State. They will opt to get an immediate post plant down. And having that cover of the Cosmic Divide will now force the hand of Finlandia, but they don't really seem all that concerned as Bash finds one with the operator. Now the lockdown comes in through, and out of nowhere, it's a 5 versus 3 favoring Finlandia, but at least there's some sort of bite back here by Murray State eventually.
Counter lockdown might be huge if it can survive. I mean, Carbon Drifter here to defend it. The attacker Killjoy. That lockdown is critical. Someone must have been caught in there. Neuro Hermit at least, but they don't have everyone swinging out again. It's Carbon Drifter. They have to go in for the play, and they're continuing to do it. However, they're under the cover. Oh, that Viper's Pit. Beagle bites. They defended it well. No one will escape from it, and they come back with a clutch.
What a odd round, to say the least, Carlos. Having 3 people just bundled up right in the middle of the spike, yet no one tried applying any pressure, even when you had your own Viper's Pit. A very odd round indeed for Finlandia, as I thought they could have at least tried to go for some sort of play once they had popped the Viper's ultimate, but apparently not. It's going to be a 4th round here for Murray State, and although they had a very rocky start, once they actually got the plant down, they were still just able to find some sort of rat angle and work a couple of picks to keep Finlandia just on a swivel for some odd reason.
And that was a massive commitment of ultimates. How many did we see there? It was at least 4 all around. Lockdowns. Bill Murray State coming out on top. But we got to talk Neuro Hermit right now. The first pick. Dismiss away. Play your life. They do have Nikto for backup. She will be here to make this shot, and she gets it. 1 tap onto Titan.
Yeah, great teamwork once again, allowing your Empress, or pardon, your Reyna, sorry. Words are hard today, apparently, Carlos. Allowing your Reyna to actually fall back and then still net another pick if they try to get over-aggressive there in that play. Thankfully, we didn't actually have Mr. Guy catch out the breach of Fushi, so he's going to end up getting at least some sort of refrag, a small response here for Murray State, but not having any type of heals. That breach will still be on about half health or so, and we are still seeing plenty of pretty calm aggression here by Finlandia. They're just holding down a couple of key angles, making sure that Murray State really can't capture any map control, and for the time being, they're just kind of in a rock at a hard space at this point.
Now, moving their way up toward
left.
A. They do have Bash sitting on the bridge. Here's the op player. Not quick enough, Gratorsky. They wanted to use that high gear, but found no value out of that. Bash with a, teleport 2 feet away. Still enough to avoid the fault line. And even though they've taken some map control, they've earned the site. Fushi had the spike. You have to get that planted. They're way too far away from the site to even make this a potential post-plant setup. So it's got to be a safer Carbon.
Unfortunately, that's just how the cookie crumbles. You could have maybe played for lineups, but it was still a very, very challenging position if that were a 4 versus 2 post-plant best case scenario. It's like I mentioned, rocking a hard space. Bash was just simply that hard space, landing a couple of crucial shots, and now eventually dropping double digits there on the chamber, able just to hold down those long sight lines, which is so favorable on a gigantic and open map such as Breeze. Having that sniper is just always something nice, especially on the defense when the attackers have to approach you on your own terms. So once again, things are on a level surface, this time 4-4 going in around number 9, and I feel like until that operator really gets properly dealt with here, Carlos, we could see a lot more outward aggression here by Finlandia on these defensive rounds.
Rolling Thunder out, but it finds no luck. Fushi, the first one to die, and Carbon Drifter running right into the hands of Titan, or Nikto. They got the Nano swarm grenades on lock. Nothing to worry about, but now Gratorsky coming through from Connector finds 2 crucial picks, turning right around into the hands of Mr. Guy. And even though there was a bit of momentum, the only kills came out from Gratorsky. It wasn't any real solid plan. They got caught up in the heat of the moment, honestly. Lost in the sauce, if you will. Stuck in all the different utility that was set up by Nikto, Bash even. They couldn't even move out. Caught in the nano swarms. There was just no solid way for them to move around.
Kind of a double-edged sword trying to run through your own toxic screen, especially when, once again, you have no proper intel gatherer. You don't really know what you're quite getting yourself into. I understand that, you want to get that plant down so the time is favoring your side and you have a bit weaker weaponry, so you want to kind of break that distance to have a fighting chance, but that was just not the right way to go about it, really jumping the gun in that last round. Speaking of weaponry, we've got Bash with the tour de force, but on ADS is at just the wrong time, unfortunately. Fushi will manage to catch Mr. Guy off guard with just barely 5 HP left to scrape this plant down, thankfully enough. But here's Bash on the rotate. Might have gotten caught in a grab wheel potentially, but or at least their own astral smoke, but at least is not going to end up dying on down. Nikto catches one off screen, and things will finally get equalized by Gratorsky, but still having the sniper in the hands of Bash is going to be an absolute nightmare here for Murray State to try to hold on to.
Fushi in a good position to look right up. Bash does realize it at the last moment. They can't pull the trigger. Well, the Fushi's luck will end there. Nikto, though, does get hit with the Marshal, and that's all it will take. Astral Paladin, the last one with the Phantom, doesn't know what target to pick. And in that moment of indecision, Titan, with an easy one-tap, brings Murray State back to the equalizer. It's 5-5.
Well, it looks like both teams having a bit of issues in terms of reconnaissance, I suppose, Carlos, because nobody had any idea that Fushi was playing so close next to those back stairs and was actually able to catch a couple of players off guard there. So I guess the element of surprise really working both ways. This is probably the most back and forth matchup I have seen in a very long time here, especially on Breeze, where I feel like the defense can really be at the attacker's throats a good portion of time, once again, because of that range game. But this time around, I guess things are more 50-50 than what you and I both probably would have expected going into this.
Nice shot from Bash to start things off and playing it safe. I think that's a huge critical factor. It's taking those picks and denying the possibility of a trade, because it just feels so deflating for any attacker to lose a player. You can't get the trade and you've gained nothing out of it. Carbon Drifter looks right through that trademark, but it doesn't really matter. However, we got to talk about Gratorsky. They're kicking it into high gear. They've got the overdrive, the speedway, looking for anything, but no one wants to face off with the Neon. They're all backing off. Maybe potentially looking for a post plant, but Gratorsky doesn't check the double doors. It's a swing in. The two players coming in and dealing real damage. Nikto has her back. And maybe it'll continue. Carbon Drifter coming from the staircase might be able to get it done. The spray eventually hits their mark. And a 3K for Carbon and the 6th round for Murray.
Last round.
And I really like the positioning there by Murray State. No one ever expects an attacker to be that far back next to a lobby for the defense of lobby out of all places. And that really did help allow a brilliant crossfire to be established when that double door retake was being intended by Finlandia. So we're going to have that metronome, I suppose, swing back a singular tick in the favor of Murray State. They'll have a 1-round advantage and are looking to maybe bring that back into 2, perhaps. There are no snipers on the board, no ops, no tour de forces for either team, so this actually could really favor the attack as they can go for much more mid-range engagements. But so far, Finlandia, they are still just as comfortable in those mid-range engagements as they were in their long-range ones earlier on.
Well, yeah, there's a major stack of players over by A, and they're very comfortable taking those mid-range from stairs, from orange, looking for players who want to take that risk to go to A, but they will find none. It's all up to Nikto on B site, but she has done a fantastic job of landing her shots and using that utility to the fullest. But really, I don't think Murray State fully knows what they want to do. They have Titan Hunter played so far up, potentially looking for a pick maybe realizing and getting a kill onto Mr. Guy could be the signal flare to call for a rotation. And now we're seeing that. 2 players going up double doors, 1 through the cave. I think it has to be a time for Titan to make the move, but an interesting maneuver of having this Sentinel, having this Killjoy run the lurk, and they're starting off finding success. They won't find 2, though, as Bash there to clean things up. They're going to jump out of the nebula from the bridge, but Bushi is there waiting for it. And right on the other side is Mr. Guy, and it just seems that players are catching each other off guard consistently. The spike is down, it's a 2v2.
Last player standing.
And Bite's able to get the equilibrium. Not for very long, though. Nikto will get one on towards the Astra, leaving only Gratorsky in the 1 versus 1. But they've got a pretty substantial advantage in that post-plant position. We'll finally see Hermit fall. And it will be a slight advantage here for Murray State going into the second half. So that's got to be a great morale booster moving into the latter half of Breeze.
I enjoyed that final play with the speed lane there from Gratorsky. It forced Hermit to take the fight on Gratorsky's conditions. You have to peek into that. You have to look in because the spike was ticking down and you don't know where Gratorsky could be, but you have to go in blind. You don't have the information. They almost got the kill, but in the end, it was Murray State who came out on top. And now, 3 rounds in a row, that's the most we've seen throughout this map so far, fellow, and I think we might be able to get some more momentum going into this half.
Well, now that things are a bit evened up as everyone is now relegated back to pistols, you could be right, but it is relatively 50-50 speaking, I suppose, at least in terms of weaponry. But it would be nice to have essentially 4 round wins in a row for Murray State, especially for all their fans in the chat potentially. But only time will tell. You know, it's only the first couple of seconds of the round, still having that mostly A dominant presence here. We've got the Chamber actually prowling about near B. They could maybe at least be that flank watch with a headhunter perhaps, or just really any gun they've got in their back pocket. But the hesitation here by Finlandia has actually allowed Gratorsky to try to get aggressive, misses the first couple of impact shots, could try to find a bit more pocket damage, eventually does that, but no initial pick, so still that 5-on-5, with Gratorsky now falling. It's actually going to be Finlandia to get the opening pick here on their first, or pardon, second pistol round.
It was an interesting fight to take when you knew that multiple players were there, and all that time, all the effort spent gaining their attention didn't lead to much. It just handed over the first pick to Finlandia, and now they have the momentum to capitalize that and just take an easy A execute. As you can see, players are dropping like flies for Murray.
Yeah, I could honestly wholly agree, because you think about it maybe just to waste some time, but when you're in that post plant, the time wasted just doesn't matter anymore, especially when the defenders aren't in that great of a position to stop the plant from actually going down or retaking the site that comfortably. Titan Hunter may find 1, but it's still a very tall task trying to find 4 players, basically all in a row, essentially, as there wasn't much time left on that spike anyways. Hermit now with their 3rd. It's going to be a round actually to boot for Finlandia here in the second half.
And of course, coming in with the force, you have to take that momentum, capitalize on it, and force Murray State into even deeper depression in terms of the round and economy. They aren't able to fire back with anything. Carbon does opt for some light shield. Maybe they just want to have a bit more survivability. But beyond that, nothing to work with. Fushi, though, might get a little cheeky with that shorty. I'm excited to see how that one plays out.
Yeah, actually could be kind of fun, maybe utilizing their own flashbangs and having a teammate just kind of be pocket intel for them via a body. Well, it looks like Gratorsky won't really be that proactive in this round, actually being dropped off the bat immediately. So once again, Finlandia will find some sort of opening pick. Funny enough, it is on Gratorsky, and that super shorty may have done a lot of damage on towards Bash, but they will still come out on top in that engagement, causing once again another 5-on-3 with basically instant site control to allow for a plant to go down pretty seamlessly once again, Carlos.
Yeah, that was almost a good attempt there for Fushi. They did have 1 shot onto Bash, but it wasn't enough, and now we could easily expect a flawless. No problem here for Finlandia. Business as usual. It's the force. Spectres galore. Dealing that damage in. Of course, it's going to be a bonus, but now we have a bit of a staggered economy on the side of Murray State. They can't fully invest. They have an Ares, a Vandal. Will it even bring enough that they have full armor? It's scattered. It's weak. And this may even bring potential for Finlandia to win out their bonus regardless of how long, how effective their guns are at range.
Well, looks like we'll have more of an emphasis on utility, at least for Gratorsky, which I don't really blame him all that much for, but especially as that duelist, would much rather prefer and maybe not rocking the Marshall and maybe trying to get a bit more aggressive, but I guess that's just my own personal taste. Very odd stack up by Finlandia. I think they want a full commit inside of B cars. That toxic screen could now be a dead giveaway as they try to cut the site into a third. A recon bolt will fly in through as well. The alarm bar may give away the intentions here, but I don't think it'll be enough to shut him down. Apparently, I've been told wrong though. Titan Hunter nets 2 big picks and actually completely stalls out this push inside of B for the time being. Great rotation by the Killjoy. Nets their third, but they'll be stopped dead in their tracks by Bash. 2 versus 3 with Finlandia still trying to recover.
Spike down B.
Gratorsky with a nice finisher on the Marshall. Now it's all up to Astral Paladin with no hope in hell of making that one work out. Finally, a good time to strike back, and they will maintain that lead. However, it was a bonus. They do have some money on the side of Finlandia. Time for the Vandals. Time for the Phantoms. What are they bringing out? Bash even has enough money, if they decide to do it, to bring out that operator, so it is entirely possible. Oh yeah, the money was correct, but not quite. They will choose for the Vandal, potentially playing it up, waiting until they can earn that Tour de Force. Regardless, look back over to Murray State. A Judge, a Spectre, a Marshall. They win the round, but they're still looking very broke. Only 2 real rifles to work with.
Going to be a very, very slippery slope here for Murray State. I'd have to agree with you on that one. So really, any pick they can find is going to have so much value, especially if that pick is someone who's overextended their body, because then that weaponry could get transitioned into a rifle to boot for Murray State. But so far, Finlandia, they're keeping their distance, and they're not fully committing to anything just yet. I love how they wait, take their time to gather intel, try to work for an opening pick, and then make that commitment, rather than just charging head on in almost every single round, which is what we saw a majority of the time by Murray State. We've seen much more composure by Finlandia. Always a big fan of that.
Gratorsky getting into initial engagement, missed those first shots, doesn't want to continue that risk. And that may be a sign for them to make a rotation. As you can see, there is more support here for A. 4 players on this side. It's the lone Titan Hunter on the other B site. They only have an alarm bot. I don't think I see any
30 seconds
Handlestorm
left.
grenades, at least not yet. We've seen how critical those have been. If they get away from it, destroy it before they're vulnerable. And they're starting it off with the Viper's Pit. Titan Hunter all alone. Decides to respond in kind with the lockdown. But you can break that. Almost catching him with their pants down. Neuro stays alive. They're sending out the dart to reveal the position. It's only a fake out. Only to make you feel scared. They don't bite. Regardless, that pit is still up. The spike is still planted. Mr. Guy maintains that structural integrity. And they're lighting up anyone who wants to make it through that smoke.
Well, it looks like it's going to be just a complete massacre inside of B, Carlos. It's only Gratorsky. They get a rifle, but not for very long. Don't get me wrong, I would have much rather have seen maybe the shock bolts be something to help deal with that lockdown, but thankfully we still had Finlandia actually fall back in due time, so nobody got detained, and then they immediately responded with a Viper's Pit as well, so all of that map control gained by the lockdown was basically nullified. So once again, I talked about the composure early round, we saw it once again by Finlandia, and now they'll be able to even things up for the 800th time essentially, going in around number 17.
8 to 8, 800 matches in terms of rounds. So, you know what? I think you might be right about that one, fellow. Gratorsky, this time not working with the pea shooter sniper. They've got the op. They've got a real piece of hardware to work with down this long haul. Mr. Guy, if they want to make this peak, they better have their crosshairs perfect to get that shot off. Here comes the peak, and it's good for Gratorsky.
There we go. Always something nice to see there. Your op player able to net at least something. Bash has got the tour de force, so plenty of long range in their back pocket, as well. Just a matter of if someone's actually going to be able to wind up in that LOS to get some sort of great equalizer here. Once again, the slowness here by Finlandia. I've been talking about their composure a couple of times to harp already. But now they're going to be extra precautious because they've already lost that Viper, which is a great agent to have during that post plant. And also, they are at that deficit because they lost out on that Viper. So now they are currently in the back seat of the car trying to retake the wheel here in these last 30 seconds, essentially.
Bash
30
grasping at
seconds left.
straws, sending out 2 shots. Doesn't find anything, wastes one of them on the turret. Now they only have 2 real shots out of that tour de force. Nikto somehow maintain control, walking through the double doors, but they neglect the cave position. Fushi in the pocket makes quick work with the judge, and now it's all Astral Paladin
10
with
seconds
no
left.
chance of getting anything done in this round.
Yep, as we slowly head on down to quad 0, it looks like this will be a pretty straightforward round for Murray State to reclaim that advantage. Still, a constant game of tug of war, what it feels like, with really no team being knocked over into the mud just yet. Having Gratorsky having that clean, long sight line all the way down long with an operator and able just to land a singular shot mid area of that player, it was just more than enough to seal the deal. And because we didn't have that opening pick, because we didn't have any proper intel being gathered by Finlandia there, they just weren't able to close the gap and really get anything done throughout that round. I mean, the round did end out flawlessly for Murray, so it was quite literally just a stomp there. But, I mean, if we see proper isolation be done, if we see maybe just seeing Gratorsky completely ignored, no one actually over swinging them near long, this could be a much more favorable position for Finlandia, and it looks like they will not try to deal with those long ranges and instead try to go for the instant sight pressure.
Carbon has to back off. They reposition around the pyramids. Mr. Guy, FU starting things off easy with an attempted plant, but that won't work out. They have the lockdown, but what will it really net them if no one is there to capitalize on it? Carbon Drifter goes in for the swing. It's all up to Astral Paladin to save the day, but they can't get it done. Carbon Drifter too quick on the draw on the lockdown. May lock down that player, but they earned nothing out of it.
Second flawless round in a row. Gotta love to see it there for Murray State, keeping to their guns, and I really don't think Finlandia had any clue what hit them there. Once again, I'm not too sure what their intel game was like in that last round, but it didn't look all that strong. They may have been able to deny the sightlines for the time being, but once the smoke, and I believe also the flash, the Lear in the pocket of Neuro Hermit went down, it was basically just a seamless reposition by Murray State to completely shut down Finlandia, and we are truly seeing some dominance now by Murray State. The fact they've got plenty of coin in their back pocket at this point and finding another opening pick. I mean, they have really found their stride here in the second half, Carlos.
Bash now. One player makes their way up through the double doors, and no one's here to greet them. It is Gratorsky on the bridge, waiting for someone to walk in between those pyramids. They look to the right. They don't notice that Bash is on the staircase. This is a good moment for them to make their move, and there is the lineup coming out from Carbon. So they can get this done. They can move ahead, go for the plant, and Bash is here, waiting for the first person to peek. It's going to be Beagle Bites. But are they expecting this? No, they won't even look toward it. No trigger next to the plane, but they don't need it. Bash finds 2, maybe even another. If they look up, watch out, because Gratorsky is here, but Bash does not care. It's a 3K. They back off to play their life. Fushi might be around the corner for a greeting, and there it is. Now it's Titan Hunter and Fushi ready to make this play. Fault line goes out, doesn't land onto anyone, but they have a lot of angles to cover. Should be incredibly difficult to make it because the time is not on their side. Fushi going down, leaving Titan Hunter all alone in the 1v3, 1v2, make it so. But there definitely is not enough time. They have to back off. But in the very end, they might be able to get one more exit frag if the shots are good, but no. Nikto, she denies it completely. And finally, we have another round for Finlandia.
You know, a really interesting thing that maybe could have happened, I don't know if you can actually do this as a Breach because I frankly haven't seen Breach in play on Breeze, is potentially flashing through one of the 2 pyramids. That could have been a great way to implement some sort of coverage for your Killjoy to go on a plant on top of having a turret deployed as well. That could have been something to maybe have a better chance of actually securing that defuse on the spike, since you didn't really have anything but just those small pocket amounts of utility. The man advantage was still in the favor of that attacking side, and they were just sitting back looking pretty and just waiting for someone to try to stick that defuse just to go swing wide. But if they were greeted by a flash, in the hand of Fushi, that could have been a completely different story, but I guess we'll never know, Carlos.
I mean, that's what happens when you play back a little bit. They didn't have anyone there to truly defend A site, and it was all up to Bash to hold the angle by the staircase, and they took down 2. If you have more presence on that site, you won't have to worry about losing angles like that. But maybe let's talk about angles being held by Gratorsky. First one coming out, a nice kill onto Bash, who is such an impact player for Finlandia. That's a good kill to have.
Yep, and with the fact that no one's really tried to get aggressive, no toxic screen, no recon bolt near A, that's a dead giveaway that the B site is the point of contention. Titan Hunter gets spotted out by the recon bolt I just mentioned a moment ago and gets immediately shut out by Hermit. 4 versus 4 in this post plant. Gratorsky almost finds one, just barely not able to confirm that kill. So it's still on relatively even footing here. An Empress ability gets popped out as well by the Reina of Hermit. Still trying to wait for someone to overswing them, perhaps, as the defenders have to retake this site. There goes Fushi with one. Vigo will now begin to try to stick this defuse, halving it now as the Nano Swarm will eventually be popped. But this is a pretty decent position by the defense, besides the fact that they have lost the man advantage here as they're still trying to deal with one in the middle of sight. Astral Paladin will now fall. Gratorsky, they've got to step up big to actually be that coverage for their teammate, but they run into the snake bite. It's only Gratorsky now alive. They've got to switch to the classic. They managed to get one, but there's no time left to defuse, and they can't even make it out with the operator. No one's surviving. That last round is, once again, it's just the great equilibrium as things are now 10-10 going in around number 21.
That comes down to not being a thorough site retake. They were spending a good amount of time trying to remove Astral Paladin from the back. They were definitely a nuisance. Once they got in there, how many times it was Gratorsky jumping around looking for the shot with the classic, and all that time spent hunting for that player could have been utilized to block off the angles coming from B main. If you were spending way too much time looking for that player, you're running out of time regardless, and that's what allowed the spike to explode. But even in the beginning, their initial setup for the retake using the Rolling Thunder, it hit some friendly fire, so Gratorsky was out of commission with the operator for about the first 5-6 seconds of that fight.
And once again, the timing by Fushi, unfortunately, was just not at the right spot for Murray State. At least Beagle Bites will have some pretty good timing on that swing against Bash, so the chamber is going to fall at a pretty good time here for Murray State. And it looks like they've got the Asher maybe trying to go on a flank. Out of all agents, you would never expect the Asher to be the one doing that, but so long as the flank is successful, I guess you can't really harp on it all that much. And it seems like the attack of Finlandia are really none the wiser. Thankfully, though, they've got a turret watching their 6, so that is a huge sigh of relief, as now we've got Beagle Bites being in a pretty rough predicament. They might get shut down potentially, and yep, that's exactly what happens. Things now evened up once again, Carlos, with 30 seconds left.
In a situation like that, when you get caught out, best idea is to back off,
30 seconds
not
left.
give them any easy pick, because you've alerted 4 players who will be looking at your position. So best case scenario, you win and get traded out. So it's not worth it in the end, because you want to be able to stop them and help your team at least when it comes to a retake, because now they've got that Viper's Pit. This is going to be incredibly difficult for a retake. The spike has been planted. 3 players attempting to go for it, but they don't have too much working for them. No ultimates at the ready, and you could even go for a lineup in terms of Sova. Maybe this won't be the case, though, as they're making quick work jumping into the pit.
We had Gratorsky find at least one. Carbon Fiber gets aggressive at a good time, and now Gratorsky will try to stick this. But nope, Mr. Guy is there to try to slow things down. Hunter's Fury pop. There goes the classic in hand. Now 1 versus 1. But Astral, they no longer have that ultimate in pocket. They've got a couple of shock bolts, and now Titan will most likely have to stick this defuse. Gets off it. Will they have enough time, though? Potentially not. It'll come down to the wire between this timer here, and yep, not even close. Still 1.5 seconds over than what Titan Hunter would have needed there, as we're going to see another round, 3 in a row here for Finlandia on their attacks.
Quite close to getting that one, actually, if they were able to commit to getting it halfway, because they did have some time. They faked it a second time, and then went for the fight against Astral Paladin. If they just committed that first time, had it halfway. They won the gunfight. It could have been an easy round win. Well, not an easy one. It could have been a round win, fellow, because nothing was easy about that round for either side.
You want to play? Let's
Yeah,
play.
we have really seen both Murray State and Finlandia kind of go tooth and nail against one another. A lot of really close one-on-one, if not 2 versus 1 post-plant positions now towards the very end of the second half, with Finlandia just barely having that advantage. But honestly, that might not be for very much longer. We have seen Murray State be able to bounce back a couple of times in the past beforehand. It'll just all come down to that first opening pick. Perhaps Beigel will try to be the one to step up once again, but unfortunately he's not able to land anything except a big heaping amount of damage against their opposition here. Here comes Bash with the tour de force. He'll catch Fushi off guard, and Finlandia will now take the lead off of that sniper doing God's work.
And that's an immediate rotation. You're seeing 4 players from Finlandia go in for the rotation. It will be Mr. Guy FU who starts things off. However, Carbon Drifter was lying in wait. They were, at least, until Bash had something to say about it. 2 great shots out of the tour de force. Maybe Mr. Retortsky here will be able to give them a run for their money, but it's a plant and it's a back off. Nothing to even worry about. They've completely opted out of holding sight. And especially now that you have Nikto, she planted her lockdown, completely denying any hope that Murray State can get inside, get close, close the gap for this defuse load retake. And oh no, Bash with another one. That's 3 right after the Cosmic Divide. But what else can they do? There's barely any time. Bash pulling out the Judge, waiting for someone to get close. That's not close enough though. Retortsky coming in with the overdrive, might be able to find 2 kills, maybe even more. But you gotta make a commitment. No, the diffuser has been killed by the shock dart. There's nothing they could do.
One enemy
Oh,
remaining.
you love to see it. Both the shock dart and nano swarm in tandem to seal the deal. And so many ultimates being spent there in a last-ditch attempt by Murray State to try to deny match point against their opposition, but it simply was not enough. And now nobody has an ultimate to boot with in this potential last round, and potentially, oh no, we will see a rifle by Ashel. They'll just opt to go for light armor instead. So we have full rifles on the board for Finlandia, just barely. But across the board, Murray State, they are just at such a mixed buy. That could put them at a great deficit, especially if we don't see those highlight players such as Tortsky or even Beigel Bites find some sort of opening pick here to bring that man advantage in their pocket early on.
Feeling going to be a much slower play this time around. So we have Retortsky. We've seen them move up into before, and it hasn't worked out. It has not panned out. Mr. Guy waiting. They're looking for this peak. The second that this happens, even an alarm bot, they're so prepared for this opportunity that they have just multiple pieces in place for it. Neuro Hermit shuts that down immediately with a good headshot with the Vandal. Now they're going to back off. Already got their pick. They want Murray State Blue to sweat it out on A. And they'll slowly walk it back. Find themselves in a 1v5 going up against Titan Hunter. No rotations yet for Murray State, but it might be high time that they do. Carbon Drifter starting to move back, potentially getting ready for the rotation, and that will be it. But we're starting up with the toxic screen. It's Titan Hunter with the Guardian, maybe looking for something. They're triggering the swarms, and it finds one, at least with the Guardian. Bash goes down. Another one goes through, but it's right over the wall. No one is even close for that to have any damage output. The spike will be planted.
Here comes the reinforcements out by the defense. So far, Titan Hunter won't need it as much as they anticipated. We have Hermit trying to get aggressive. 3 beautiful picks for Titan Hunter. Here comes the spray down by the Ares. It's clean. Astra will fall, leaving just Big Guy, and they will eventually meet the exact same fate as the rest of their team. Despite the fact things got dicey for Titan Hunter, they were kind of fed 1-for-1s, and that will allow Murray State to get plenty of time to stick that defuse and keep themselves alive a little bit longer inside a breeze.
Somehow, through great plays out of Titan, they saved themselves from losing map 1. That one completely goes to Titan, locking it down, finding a 3-piece, just stalling out full site control before the rest of the team can make it out. Murray State still in this. And now it's a bit of a broke by. 2 Ghosts, 1 Ares, and 2 Vandals on the side of Finlandia. This is looking a bit dire. And maybe a sign that this will head over into overtime.
Well, they'll still find that first pick. Well, if they're not able to retrieve that rifle, they are still technically at the deficit in terms of proper weaponry. I mean, you've got Hermit with the Empress ability, so maybe they'll pop it to maybe try to net a second for their team, perhaps. Only time will tell. Still having Finlandia try to figure out every single possibility that could be a potential nuisance here. Looks like we have the Chamber of Bash actually getting very aggressive up near Hall and could maybe catch Gratorsky off guard. I'm not too sure if they're actually expecting a Chamber player to be that close to their position. So maybe if that long angle will be dropped away by Gratorsky, they can maybe get shot in the back by Bash to once again make things a 5 versus 3. And it looks like we still have that rotation coming underway, as well as the B site is back on the drawing board here for Finlandia as they now begin to go for that execute.
Utility sent out, but they aren't going to be stopped. Finlandia will make it onto the site, but can they get the spike down in time? So much is stopping them. Fushi with that huge hit stops them. Mr. Gaia goes down. They can't get the spike. Beagle Bites still here for some support by the half wall. Titan Hunter even getting a kill. 2 kills with their turrets. It's a 2v3. Astral only has a ghost, but maybe Bash can be a hero in 10 seconds, no less, though they have no time to make the spike get planted. This is a disaster for the side of Finlandia.
Oh my gosh.
Overtime.
I really can't believe we just saw 3 finishers out by the turret of all things, Carlos. What was it, the part where maybe we had, you know, the ability by Breach to go deal a bunch of damage to get them all low? I didn't quite catch the full story of that. What did we just witness there and when we saw the site rush into B?
I really don't know, and it has been a tough story for them to find any success when they make their way over to B, because it's Titan Hunter. Titan Hunter locks down B so well because it's a bottleneck. With the utility, it's a signal that they are making their way through when it comes to that alarm bot, followed up by the nano swarms, followed up by the turrets. It's just a bit of confusion that when they're faced with all that utility at the same time, they kind of freeze up. Let's talk about freezing up. Astral Paladin will no longer be moving this time around. A good opening shot from Gratorsky, a major investment on the op. Now it's all up to Mr. Guy to stop the players making their way from the cave. Maybe a bit of a shot going through, but nothing else. They can't make it look. They don't want to peek it because it will instantly be responded with a shot to the dome. Bash now here for some support with an op of their own, but what can it bring? What's the value? Now a Nebula on the bridge cuts off vision, and Beagle Bites is looking to get in their faces. They're not done yet.
Oh, trying to break the distance here. It works out so far. Bash may find one with the op, but the second one misses. Gratorsky is there to greet him. Now it's only Neural Hermit left to try to stave off this spike from detonation. Gets rid of Bagel, but it's not going to be enough to really tip the tide back in the defense's favor. Murray State get the first round here in overtime.
Match point.
And that's a huge impact. Gratorsky now back with the op. It was a good play. I think a major issue that we're finding is how unwilling either team is to fully commit to a site, to fully commit to taking duels by those main site entrances. We now do have Carbon Drifter hanging out by A main, or now they're just doubling back to double doors. I'm not sure what their plays are going to be, because they're so afraid of taking those initial engagements. And if you could win those out, that's crucial. Creating those choke points to stop them from making their way through has been a big factor. That's why Titan Hunter has always held B down so well. And it's still possible if you have Breach and the Viper use their abilities, stop the choke point, get a poison screen, get the poison orb to just block everything out. But they've only been able to figure out a real strategy when it comes to that B defense on either side of this squad. But now, this may be an opportunity to close things out here and now for Murray State. They do only need one more round to win it all.
Well, map number 1. Let's see if they can transition that into the second map as well. But there's still a good chance for maybe double overtime. Who really knows? Finlandia, they try to want to have that dream turn into a reality. Bash is going to get that opening pick for his teammates. That can maybe alleviate some of this onward pressure, but we have seen Titan be able to single-handedly hold off the B site to allow the rotate happen countless times, and that was only with a Guardian. They've now got a rifle in their pocket, so maybe they could be a much bigger force than what we probably had anticipated earlier on, Carlos, as finally we see that play come into full effect once again inside of B. Mr. Guy tries to go for that plant, but it looks like a Nanostorm will try to deny them of that. So far it's a bit successful, but the reattempt will be clean. 4 versus 3. Now forced retake in the pocket by Murray State, and they are being locked down, relatively speaking, here against this offense.
Toxic screen blocking off the vision. There are 2 players by main. They back off into it. Astral Paladin still remaining on site. Wants to have that control, wants to be the body there to swing on a potential defusal. Carbon Drifter, though, realizes this and sends out the snake bite. Astral Paladin just out of the reach. Fushi potentially there to make a move. They can see that there's two pieces of utility. 2 Nanoswarms jumping away from it. Carbon Drifter will jump right into the crosshairs of Astral Paladin. And it's 13-13 again. We're going into double overtime. A big factor on that one, fellow. A big factor is when that initial kill by, I believe, Elbow took place. 2 players rotated back to A.
Yeah, that one does seem a bit odd. You know, once again, we have seen Titan Hunter be able to single-handedly hold off B, but that was for a couple of reasons. One, we did see a very high overextension by their opponents to allow 1-for-1s to actually favor that Killjoy, and also the general lack of utility to properly clear out Titan Hunter as well. That time we didn't see really any overextension, and we saw a ton of utility by the offensive side of Finlandia that time about, so they will bring things in a double overtime like you and I were roughly speculating here. Once again, we'll see a bit of a heavy play into B with Titan Hunter. Speak of the Devil is going to actually get rid of their doppelganger of Nikto. Gratorsky open up the kill feed as well with another nice op shot landed, and now we're heading into that post plant once again. What can the defense do already at such a big deficit in order to try to get this retake down successfully?
Bash taking advantage of a player caught by that drone. He didn't have the right target choice. Bash took advantage of it. Now Bash continuing to work this out. Finlandia may be able to win it out. Gratorsky hurts those chances with the op. And there's another player right around the corner from those arches. Maybe it could be good, but Fushi turns it into a 2v1. No longer any bullets in the op. I'm just going to continue to harass, but maybe you got to pull out that gun, bring out the op, but instead, they're good for a classic finisher straight to the dome. Murray State, one more round again here, separating them from winning Breeze.
You know, both Gratorsky and Bash have really been butting heads in terms of who's the better, you know, range player with either the tour de force or even just the operator in general. And having Gratorsky opt for that glass cannon a majority of these overtime rounds has really allowed him to step up big when needed most. But this time around, we're not going to have that Neon opt to go for the long-range contention. They can bring out a Vandal, so maybe they can land some crisp one-taps. But in terms of snipers, we've got Bash actually bringing out that op, and hey, look at that! It's actually going to favor him out here. The Chamber will bite back against Gratorsky as Finlandia will actually find the entry here on this second overtime round.
Look how close Bagel Bites, or Bagel Bites is playing it, sending a Nebula one after another. And I think they're getting aggressive. Bagel Bites, I'm not sure what the play here was. You already lost 2. Why push through the smoke? And now Finlandia. That is all they need to start a full assault. A massive takeover onto A. Fushi hiding behind the boxes. The lone defender may be able to get some support. But what will it be? What can it really be? They're all alone. They have such a large task to take care of. Titan can provide some support from Bridge. But this will be a hard ass. There's 1, even 2 there. Now it's time for Titan to help create some space, alleviate the pressure. Maybe around that corner, they're going to get blinded by their own teammates. Fushi denies any opportunity for them to win it out, checking the cubby. And won't realize there's a player beyond the pyramid, but it doesn't even matter. It seems the time is all but whittled down. They get the shot over onto Paladin, but it feels like it doesn't even need to happen. Wait a minute. Regardless of those kills they get, a nice 4K for Fushi. Just time was wasted. Time was wasted, and a team flash just sealed the deal for sure. We're in double overtime now, fellow.
Looks like we will remain inside of this prison for quite some time, Carlos, but a pretty enjoyable one at that. One thing to note for Finland, or pardon for Murray State, I guess technically since they are now on the attack defending previous round, that they were just getting over aggressive for really no reason off the bat. I mean, we talked about Weigel still trying to go for that ultimate orb, I think, and just didn't work out for them. But we also saw somebody die in mid very early on, just out in the open, asking to get shot, along with Kratorsky swinging out Bash with that operator. Speaking of Bash, they are not going to have the sniper in pocket. They try to get over aggressive, and what do you know? They fall instantly. So Murray State now trying to get that dominating role here on the attack for their several time. But at least we have Mr. Guy trying to find some sort of clap back. But there's Gotorski as well, holding down these long angles with the operator to now bring things back in an advantage for Murray State. And they double down on top of it too, the post-plant situation, leaving only Hermit now trying to retake the site by themselves with only a Vandal and a Dream. I don't think they've got this one in their pocket here, caller, especially since we still have Gotorski just waiting out. Here's a double door leading into mid. Could maybe catch the rain off guard, but they look in the wrong direction. Could it matter, though? Apparently so. At least Hermit nets that first one, but not any more than just that pick, of course.
Going well again in that offensive round, but how will this be a clutch up? Both these squads are much better at attacking than they are defending. I think that might be a true statement, at least here in overtime, fellow. Neither of these squads are putting together a solid defense. They're getting antsy. They want to take the fight to the opponent when they're attacking because maybe they just feel more comfortable that way. Maybe they just want to get in their faces. It's just what they want to do, and it is not paying off at all. Bash back on the op, waiting for someone to get aggressive. There it is, maybe through Hall. This is going to be the play, but Weigel bites. Just sends out the Odin and the Nebula, but no! It's the op kill. Bash gets it started, but no one is making a play for the site just yet. Keep it cool. Wait out for someone else to peek.
Old habits die hard, I suppose. It's either Weigel or Gotorski to try to just really make their presence known, but not in a good way. Once again, the attack, like you have mentioned now, Carlos, has just been such an effective side for both teams because we have seen the defense just peak stuff for really no justifiable reason, or at least not with the proper weaponry to justify it. So, I mean, there is a good chance we see triple overtime now at this point. That would make it a plus 30 round situation here, but there is still chance for Murray State to bring things back. They've got Kratorsky on the operator this time, which really begs the question why they weren't the ones swinging out through long, but at least they have that operator now moving into these final 30 seconds at least.
Ushi, the first point of contact, does take one down, but they're blinded by the leer. Bash there with a headshot trade, and they'll continue to move forward. Gotorski, though, now without a smoke in play. They missed the shot, but they finish it up. They're not done yet. Bash coming in with a 4K. Might want it all. The last player behind Orange, leaving Astral Paladin all on their own. And running out with the knife, maybe not the best move. Titan Hunter gets some tags in. Coming out from Orange. There still is some space for them to get the plant in. They have to put the ball in the enemy's corner. But maybe Titan Hunter with the swing can be good. They can't get the shot, but finally they do. And for the first time, the defenders will win. Murray State closes out Breeze after what feels like an eternity, fellow.
By the skin of their teeth as well, a 1-versus-1 to end out map number 1 off the back of a potential huge 4K by Bash. But like I mentioned, I guess having Gotorski alive to eventually reposition near bridge was just that saving grace to really, and I mean really, force the hand of the attack in those last couple moments for Finlandia. So at least map number 1 is now in the books for Murray State as a victory, and a very hard-fought one at that. But before we go into map number 2, of course, we'll go into a quick little break, be back in just a while to see what Ascent has in store for us here at the NECC.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
Sell online tickets directly from your school's website. Scan digital or printed tickets with the Hometown Gate app. And get immediate access to ticket revenue with real-time reporting at no cost to your school. It's that easy to bring touchless ticketing to your hometown. Hometown. Fast scans, happy fans.
And welcome back to week 5 of NECC Valorant. I'm Lo, still on the desk with Fellow, and we just wrapped up map 1 of Breeze between Murray State and Finlandia. Murray coming out with the dub in what seemed like a very long matchup, going well into overtime. They managed to win it out on Breeze, but now we are headed over into Ascent for map 2. I'm excited for this one. It is a neck and neck battle, Fellow. It is neck and neck. I don't even know who's going to come out on top with this one.
Man, I have really got no clue either. And, Ascent, it can kind of have some similarities with Breeze. A pretty strong mid presence is pretty common, especially when you have two headstrong operator players, which we saw both with Gratorsky and Bash. So this is probably going to be a pretty interesting one once again, seeing, how many frags both Bash and Gratorsky can kind of tally up as we go through the kill count. I guess only time will tell. We'll have to wait to get into agent selection. I'm wondering if we'll see the Neon again, because don't get me wrong, Gratorsky did great in terms of finding kills, but I just feel like there was a lot of untapped potential in terms of like the utility usage in general and bringing out the Neon.
Yeah, it feels like there was not much value. I mean, maybe the relay bolts had some impact in stunning players, but I don't think there was any capitalization on it. They got the stuns, but couldn't do anything after that. And it was actually few and far between that we did see that. They used overdrive to get a few kills, but those kills were only used in desperate moments where essentially the spike was going to explode anyway. So the value was basically non-existent. I hate to say that, but that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, I mean, you can get picked with really any agent. It really just requires on your own pure mechanical skill. There are a couple of agents that maybe can help boost up your chance of winning a gunfight depending on how you use their abilities, but that is really about it. So I'm really hoping that maybe Gratorsky will offer something different, maybe more like a Jet, something a bit more basic that you kind of get a good understanding of because she's been around for such a long time, still has great mobility, can still be that space creator, and can still do an absolute huge amount of damage with that operator. So far, though, we don't have a lot of agent selection over across for Finlandia, just a couple of light selections. The only thing being hard confirmed is by Carbon on the Viper, whereas across the board, we've got Murray State pretty confident as to what they want to bring out here today.
Well, we've got Brimmy with the Stimmy. Happy to see Astral Paladin take advantage of these newfound buffs for Brimstone, and it should make for a very quick executes. We're seeing them on the attacker side, starting off onto Ascent. Gratorsky makes the commitment onto Neon. I honestly, I don't believe in this one. I don't believe in the pick. They are a simply put, a skilled player. But I think they could find much more value if they're running with a Reyna, potentially a Jet, because they're an opera. They're good with the op. Using that tailwind to escape and put yourself in better positions is crucial. I mean, there's similar skills that are required with both the overdrive and the blade storm. I think it's just a better agent for the utility that you're looking for the role you want to play. Gratorsky would not find the best value as a teammate on the Neon.
Really shocked as well. We don't have, once again, like a main intel gatherer besides like the KO. I guess here, I mean, yeah, you've got the Killjoy, but on the attack, the best option for having that turret is just the flank watch, and the rest of your util is denied or utilized to deny a retake during that post plant position. So not having that Sova, that could be a really big issue. We could see a lot of face checking occurring once again by Murray State, and that could maybe allow for Finlandia to catch them off guard pretty early on, especially if we have these suppressions be very volatile in this round. And already Mr. Guy will actually be suppressed for just a couple of seconds, so can't really utilize any of their toxic screens or whatnot for just a few opening bits of round number 1.
Gratorsky has the Sheriff and hanging out on top of Cat. Will just be spotted out by the turret, and that'll make him think twice. I mean, let's talk about how effective the turret was last time around. I think a total of 3 kills on the tally for just that That sentry. A little crazy. And now we have such a slow play going here for Murray. They have been recognized. Now, wait a minute. Even looking around, Gratorsky already down to 13 HP. Maybe going to run over to Sage for some help. This is just a very slow play. They're running down the clock.
Yeah, and without really gaining any map control, no one's rotating around to go tree, no one's establishing pressure near mid. It's just going to be a full funnel in through the arches of A main. There goes a couple of smokes between both the Vipers here, able to decay a little bit of HP. There goes Weigel in the middle of sight, netting 2. Titan Hunter is there to back it up, and so is Gratorsky, despite the fact they were on such little HP. And there we have it, a pretty strong presence by Finlandia on round number 1 is they had to deal with one entry point, and that was it on the pistol round.
And that is a big advantage by maintaining that catwalk control. I think both of these squads don't have the strats at the moment to go for some split plays. Not necessarily splitting across different sites, but just looking for some mid control, finding the ability to work through catwalk, and having that pressure. If you have those alternate pressure points, it makes it so much more difficult to defend a site. But if everyone's running down the bottleneck of A main, it becomes that much easier. Now another bottleneck coming through. It's the Sage wall blocking off A main. They might have a shotgun at the ready, but Bash is too quick with the headhunter. Might be a body shot, but it's good enough. Titan Hunter has been known for their ability to lock down sites, but they will back off after activating the nano swarms. The spike is planted for Finlandia, but look at the health. They are ripped to shreds.
And they are just trapped in their own tomb at this point. They cannot try to escape the site at this point. A brilliant flash by Weigel, doing a lot of work for their team. There goes the Headhunter, though, netting now a 3rd. It'll be the classic, actually, whipped out there by Bash. 3 picks for the chamber, as they actually are able to fall back inside of Fish, but there we have Gratorsky there trying to instigate that. 2 versus 2. The timer is still going down, favoring the offense, but no longer will that man advantage actually be favoring the side of Finlandia. And there's Carbon from the backside to shut down Astral Paladin from holding down that spike. There's plenty of time left to defuse. Murray State now take a 2nd in a row.
B site is incredibly difficult to defend when you don't have full control. If you're all in the pit, if you're all hanging out by the staircase, by the box, underneath Speedway, in the boathouse, it's so difficult because you have no points of exit. When it comes to A site, you can move around. You could back off into main. There's no exit. There's no escape. And that's an issue. You have to have full control. You need to block off CT. You have to have maybe someone in B main providing some relief. There was no relief there for Finlandia, but at the very least, they got the spike down, a little bit more money in their pocket, and they should be coming through with some serious firepower, especially, well, I thought Gratorsky was going to have the op this round. It is, in fact, a Marshall. And they're going to be okay.
Well, if you land a headshot, it still is a one-shot. You can maybe think of it like a bootleg operator. Really put your mind to it. But that's if he's given the chance to actually land a headshot. No one is fully peeking out through the back of Catwalk just yet, so it's just going to be trying to hold for some sort of cutoff angle, but the attackers will wisely just rotate around through their own spawn to maybe go for a B approach. We could maybe have Gratorsky still land some sort of lineup shot all the way down, leading through Fountain perhaps, but no, they look away, still expecting someone to go all the way in through the top of Catwalk. We once again have that barrier orb able to now give away the intentions of the offense, as this push will be prolonged for a little while longer now that we see that slow orb be popped through as well.
Oh, Carbon Drifter almost gets caught off with the Marshall in hand. I have to back off. They will send out the snake bite, so it should get a bit of vulnerability on players who want to peek that out. Followed up with a fragment, and it completely traps them in, but we'd still have Reyna looking to make that play, looking to actually fight that one off. Neuro Hermit losing the duel, but some information gathered from that trademark. They're stuck in B main. They're stuck in Gratorsky is continuing to push the advantage. They're trapped. They're pinched. Now they have no choice but to die, or at least fight for their lives with only 5 seconds left. The slow play of Finlandia has not worked out again.
Nope, just hard stalling at this point, Carlos. They try to set their mind onto one place on the map. Once again, still hard funneling as well. And like, all right, there's too much pressure over here. Let's rotate. And then the defense does the exact same thing. They're at the different bomb site to greet them the exact same way. and they still haven't tried to adapt by maybe adding some pressure near mid perhaps, or maybe gathering a bit more information besides just that trademark. I mean, they really can't gather much more intel than that, but maybe trying to get more aggressive because they have people like the Reyna that can maybe clear some sort of space, and maybe use those smokes more proactively on the Brimstone as well could really make things much better for them. But at least that Tour de Force will be somewhat of a saving grace here for Finlandia as they finally get some sort of success. And with Weigl getting a bit too aggressive there, it actually nets Finlandia now a second opening pick on round number 4.
And now that's a rotation back to A. Must have realized, at least with 2 players there, should be some more to follow. Sending over the orb across the site. Won't block off Carbon, but they reposition by Jenny to have that ability to keep themselves safe. I think a headshot goes into someone, but it isn't enough. A good body hit onto Neuro Hermit, perhaps. And now firing through the smoke, firing through everything they've got. This is a full control here from Mr. Guy FU. So torn apart by the Nano Swarm and just out of reach for those will-be Neuro. They stay alive, they get the plant, and now it's a potential retake. 2 players in hell. One by the, or moving over to the dice. There it is, an easy shot for Titan. They break out the Nano Swarm. Nikto goes in for the swing, and they finally win it out. Finlandia get their first round on the back of a few greedy plays, and a good follow-up for the post-plant setup.
Now, I hate to be the one to pick at straws here, Carlos, but I was not a very big fan of after Nikto getting that first pick in hell to then swing wide to go and end up killing their doppelganger there. They could have just had the player from A main just simply watch and then just be that first person to instigate, and then they could follow up afterwards. But that's all right. You know, they had bodies to throw at the problem. They had a 5 versus 3. It's not the end of the world, even though things did get very dicey towards the very end of that post-plant position. Things get dicey near mid as well because Kotorski, they've got that op, but nope, not able to get the job done. They deal a huge amount of damage against the chamber, but once again, it is at least still that 5 versus 5. Not very long, though, as Weigl, despite the fact this play didn't work last round, it actually worked for them this time about, and the Brimstone now falls.
Well, I think this is a staple for both of these squads. If it didn't work one round, try doing the same thing again and see if that works. And usually it does here. Weigl with a good opener, but they won't be able to walk away or convert that into a better weapon. Mr. Guy here waiting for a repeat, and I think that might be the case. They send out the 0 point. They're good enough. Here comes a flash drive and the no command as well, and that one isn't gonna work out this time, fellow.
Nope, well, I guess third time was not the charm for the KO, and a lot of their utility now completely stopped as a lockdown will now appear in the midst of this A push. You have a flank being attempted by at least 2 separate defenders, kind of isolating the Viper, especially if Fushi cannot find anything here on this aggressive play, but at least they're able to find plenty of picks. I've been proven completely wrong, as it's a 3-piece with the judge, jury, and you guessed it, the executioner by the Sage, as, hey, I guess it kept working for Fushi, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Man, I really hate it when we're both right on that factor.
Wow. A great opportunity, but they pushed too early. They had that lockdown, and they should have waited for it to go down completely. And getting a bit antsy is kind of like the name of the game, or a curse that plagues both of these squads. They got too antsy. They pushed before it really mattered. If they waited 1/2 second more, Fushi would have been detained. 3 of them would still be alive, and that round could have definitely gotten the way of Finlandia.
I'm really wondering how effective maybe Fushi's position could be next to that barrier, or at least Hermit's position against Carbon was pretty darn strong, as it's Finlandia is going to at least net that first potential many picks. Still trying to work their way through mid, though. Kotorski misses out on one, pops out the overdrive, and gets immediately hunted down by Hermit. That is a massive pick to follow up after your first opening duel as a win. Once again, Murray State are at a pretty heavy deficit, but maybe no one will check wine. This could be a great way to actually be in the back ranks of the defense, or pardon the attack, my mistake, as Weigl may find one. That patience, though, or lack thereof it, could be detrimental, as now they expect someone from the backside. Hurt will get aggressive because of that, and now your player in wine will fall. 4 versus 3 here. Murray State, they have an okay chance of retaking the site, but this Viper's Pit is going to make this position a living nightmare, as they still need to worry about that inevitable detonation of the spike itself.
Okay, here's Gratorsky. They used the recon bolts, and maybe jumping in might be able to find something against Mr. Guy. It is. They go down. But did they realize there was a defuse going on? I don't think it mattered, because once the Viper's Pit fell, it showed all secrets. Finlandia, catch Titan going for the defusal. Such a interesting retake strategy, and Gratorsky to go in, throw in the op, not go for a rifle, probably would have been a better move. But I think even in the beginning, the commitment of the overdrive into a wall of players, the commitment of the resurrection to go into a very difficult retake scenario, questionable at best. But now we have Finlandia back on track. They got 2 rounds. They're looking to make some more. Ushi back with the shorty in their own domain. Might be able to make that work out. I mean, fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, shame on Fushi.
Oh, and shame on Hermit for now trying to reattempt the same swing against Ratorsky. They actually changed their position to better counteract the Reyna. We've got the lockdown being popped as well. That's going to force a fallback here. Maybe allow Ratorsky to open up with yet another, depending on where their crosshair is actually placed. But nope. Bash will actually win that confrontation here, but they won't remain alive for that much longer after that first integration, because Carbon Drifter is there at the ready. Beigel, stop doing this! They know you're going to push aggressive in A main. You lose out so much viable denial. Having that KO on the board could have been brilliant to stop all of this post-plant utility by Finlandia if they could even get the spike down. But now having a rotate in these last 30 seconds, that could maybe give Murray State a second chance at redemption.
Nikto caught out by the alarm bot. Titan Hunter in a good position to hang back, maybe play 4B, market rotation around to CT. They're waiting for this, but the smoke doesn't go down before they can get 1, maybe 2 are on the docket. They get away with some damage onto Brimstone. Astral Paladin goes out for the stim beacon. They walk away with 3 HP and another close plant, only 10 HP or 10 seconds left to get it done. Mr. Guy not ready for the flank from Speedway, and Astral Paladin has a miracle necessary to win it out, and they don't get it. 3-2 retake goes down perfectly, and Murray State finally are starting to feel back on track for that one. And things are so dicey every single round, fellow.
Yeah, I am really surprised, we were able to see that recovery there, but looks like we got a small little technical pause. It won't be for that much longer. Yeah, just some minor visual bugs. That's all right, it happens. But yeah, that was a very good recovery at least. And once again, you mentioned the timing there. I get it. You're in the red time. Things are getting dicey. You want to get into the site to get that plant down so you don't lose the round. But just making sure the poison cloud is fully deployed, or at least you have proper coverage before going for that push, it could really save your skin. And maybe if we had one more player able to stack up, or at least have a cutoff in B main to deny that retake back into sight, that could have been a very big difference maker to actually have the attack win that round. But unfortunately for Finlandia, they jumped the gun once again, and it didn't work out for them. But I mean, we've seen that exact same thing happen for the defense of Murray State as well. So it's just really, really shocking to see just no improvement being made by both teams, but still having one team really come out on top.
Yeah, it's simple mistakes that should not be happening. I mean, how many times are we going to point out Beigel Bites getting the ego peak down onto A? They want it. Beigel Bites wants it. They want the kills, and sometimes they find them. Well, most of the time, it ends in disaster.
Yeah, it's just... I mean, they can't keep getting away with this. Some rounds they do, some rounds they don't. It's just such a toss-up. And I mentioned this briefly. The amount of denial you can have as a KO. I mean, his flashes are fantastic. He's got a nade. He's got an entire 2 sets of gadgetry that are purposely built to deny any type of opposing util. And once again, you look at the lineup here by Finlandia, they have a very big emphasis on kind of like playing for that post plant and setting up to go into the site, because of the fact they've got a bunch of smokes, they've got both the nano swarm and also the snake bite as well. It's just so much utility stacked up trying to get that plant down, yet we have never seen Finlandia in a comfortable position. It just really begs the question, was it all worth it?
Maybe not. I mean, this time around, there is a good opportunity for them to find success. We saw a few ults at the ready, and a lot of Leers being used. I mean, we haven't found too much value out of the Reyna Leers, unfortunately. But now is a good opportunity. Titan Hunter being caught almost in the orbital strike. Move away, Titan. He almost got caught in it. Now the retake scenario potentially here. Titan Hunter being blocked off by the fast lane from their own teammate. Kotorski just baiting out a few nano swarms. They slide right into it. And Nikto, the attackers with the 4K, strike back with a vengeance. And that was a round, is what I have to say about that.
I mean, do Murray State not know you can wallbang hell through heaven? Because like every single time they've had somebody heaven, and you gotta assume that Finlandia aren't just all in A main. I mean, it would make sense because they love to funnel through A main going for that plant, but when they actually have the spike down, they do kind of scatter about to have more than one area for some sort of like sight line to gather for maybe a crossfire. So why not just even at least try to pre-fire a couple of those default positions inside of hell to maybe find a kill or at least deal some damage? That's like the second time we have seen Nikto just do God's work in the middle of hell, funny enough. But hey, back on the board for Finlandia. They've got the first 2 picks to start things off in a pretty good way, but it is against a lot of pistols and secondary weaponry, so I might need to hold my tongue and wait for the next round to see if Finlandia can keep up this forward momentum.
Slow orb to keep them at bay, and I don't think they'll commit to the lockdown because there isn't a strong opposition going against them. They can play around with it, you might consider it, but it's a save. I don't think you need to play it like that, but you know what, I guess I'm wrong this time around. And actually, I take that back. It could be a good way to solidify the fact that this will not be a loss of life here in your force round against some savers. It was almost a nice shot from Titan, but what's Fushi doing? Fushi!
I guess he's just joined their team. Almost went for a melee. I gotta agree, this is something you don't get to see every day, Carlos. And man, oh man, was that a sight to behold. Thankfully, Bolby was able to catch that all on film. And now we've got Carbon Drifter. Just in the 1 versus 4 situation, yeah, they will make the proper call of just falling back with the rifle for the next round. That's one less weapon to actually buy. And maybe if all Finlandia do not, vacate the premises, they could actually lose a couple of bodies as well. But, oh my goodness, the Fushi just tried to pull off his best Finlandia impression and just tried to stack up with the attacking squad to maybe try to blend in with the crowd, I guess?
Fushi's the imposter.
I guess. At least no one died of the bomb. That's a plus.
Wow. Certainly an opportunity squandered right there. Maybe if they fired earlier, it could have taken down at least 2. Taken down 2, maybe stalling the plant out would have created a potential climate for Carbon to make that play. Work it out. A 1v3 is much easier than a 1v4. I mean, yeah, sure, 1 player. But the opportunity presented itself. Could have even been converted into a rifle. But let's not talk about what could have happened. Let's talk about what's going to happen. It's still a scattered bye here for Murray State. And now Bash bringing out the tour de force will make this peek by Carbon. Almost a mistake, but they're too quick with the peek and back off.
Well, that is not going to work out just yet for Bash. But now Murray State knows they have to respect that position really much next to mid. Looks like Retortzi is still trying to get a bit aggressive right around the pizza area. Could maybe utilize their ultimate of the overdrive to find some sort of pick, but once again it is Bash peeking that area with the tour de force, so it's a very high risk high reward play here. And yep, the crosshair is just a little too far out for the close peek attempted and actually confirmed by Bash. So now you lose out on your Neon player and the man advantage. Once again, Finlandia, they are able to transition that forward momentum over to maybe find an equalizer round to make it 5-5 going around number 11 potentially, Carlos.
Slow play here. They'll take that pick and not trying to squander it away. They're playing it slow, and that's what I'm liking from Finlandia. And now with a rotation coming out from Fushi, this may be a good opportunity. Wait, no, it's Beigel Bites. They backed off toward mid. They realized no one was coming that way. And here's a fragment to slow down the play. They've only got stingers, really, for a defense. Not sure what this could possibly do. Oh, they're going to get ready. They threw the flash, but right behind their own Viper wall. Wait a minute. They don't have much time. They only have a few seconds left to get onto the objective, onto the site. Maybe they can plant it. I don't think it will be enough time. No, they've ran out. The stall is good.
Oh my goodness! We just saw another hard stall by Finlandia, even though they had the man advantage. Oh my goodness. And just, they had everything set up so well until they finally pushed through B main. I thought we were bound to see flashes go down. We had the flank being watched, like really. And I mean really, the stars were aligning, yet they just managed to drop the bag during the execution, and Murray State able to punish with just a simple crossfire from both their own lobby and someone just right next to the back catwalk in the B site. Ugh, you hate to see it there for Finlandia, but at least they start out on the right direction here in round number 11 with a nice opening pick on towards Gotorski.
That's an issue that has been seen around. They like to take their time, which, yes, good. It's good that you aren't rushing into any plays, but to take so much time where your execute only has 15 seconds left on the clock and you need to make it onto the site where a single hitch, a single deterrent to slow you down will cost the round, that is not acceptable. You can't have that. And Murray State is realizing that this is how Finlandia likes to play, and they're starting to take advantage of it. See how far back they're playing. A lot of nano swarms on A, and it's a full stack potentially heading that way. 2 potential stalls as well with the snake bites. Maybe it won't be a full commitment. We kind of just have Carbon Drifter jumping around. Not sure what to make of it. Here it comes, Mr. Guy. If you wants to swing through, Bash the first one to open things up. A Titan Hunter right underneath in hell. Here's some support from Fushi. If they can win this fight in tree, it will be critical. And they get it. It also starts with Titan Hunter. They've gotten a kill of their own, but the Viper's Pit along with the plant. But oh my lord. Weigel Bites pushing through. The Viper's Pit will go down. The No Command doesn't find any success, but there goes the Viper's Pit. Exposed is Bash, but Bash somehow lines up too. Actually, no, that was a death from the No Command previously. That was just a wild round, fellow. I'm not sure what's going on with either of these squads.
I mean, once again, when we have someone sitting up in hell, or down in hell, I guess, no one's able to kill them. Like, you had multiple people in heaven, yet nobody pre-fires down there. I really cannot fathom why you aren't opting to do that. Just that safety of mind, it goes a long way. And we talked about, specifically you talked about, the amount of denial there was there for the plant, yet none of it worked. The Viper managed to not do anything. The lockdown was completely destroyed. The nano swarms did not meet their mark. Just so much went wrong there. And, you know, we see the early suppression here by Weigel. I really thought they were going to just swing a main and find something, but nope. They're going to allow the Viper of Carbon to get aggressive, but Bash will counteract it with their own aggression, and it actually allows the Viper's Pit to go down, but at least Weigel's there to refrag to maybe hold down the fort for just a little while longer.
Bash putting the team on their back at the moment. Oh, using that overdrive to break down door. It might be a good start as Gotorski takes down Mr. Guy Fu, and they've got some energy back, but they got to use it quickly. But here's Titan Hunter jumping out from heaven, removing Bash. That's a critical player. Astral Paladin alone in hell, can't win it out. But they've got 41 HP. If they can win this fight, that would be critical. But Fushi there finally saves the day and goes in for the res. Why not? It's the last round of the half.
Another 7-5 here. Murray State just scraping away at that lead. And at least they finally dealt with the presence in hell. Not with the pre-fire, but at least a reposition through a main. You'll love to see it. Finally something worked out there for the offense. It had been a little while to see some of that consistency straying through. Things really did start to pick up the pace there for Finlandia, but still at a slight deficit. Hey, at least they're on a new slate here. Second half pistols across the board for everybody else. And I did mention with their lack of proper intel gathering skills, maybe the defense could favor them a tad bit more. We'll have to wait and see if that actually is true, or if they're going to have still plenty of challenges when they're on this new half.
Interesting is that both Sentinels are postured toward B. I know we do have Bash kind of going for the fast rotate. They've realized the execute is headed toward A. Gotorski just making a hero play right next to you. Somehow they get the kill. Carbon Drifter follows up with one of their own. Astral Paladin swings through from the toxic screen to get a spam kill onto Titan. And now, Spike has been planted, flashed away. Nikto might be able to make something work, but it's a 3v3. Neuro Hermit has some pressure out from Tree, but this is just such a wild round. Nikto gets the finisher with the turret. Nikto going in for some more, and they find it. It's all up to Carbon Drifter, all alone in this world in a 1v3. In the back is that Spike.
Oh, but they're not able to get it, unfortunately, Carlos. Well, looks like we didn't have the patience there landed, nor really anything. That barrier orb might have actually denied any sight line for Carbon Drifter to play off of. I think they had some sort of, poisonous gadgetry besides toxic screen to maybe stop that plant from going down, but just a bit over aggression perhaps. Can't quite put my finger on it, but at least it's still around in the books for Finlandia. They had a much better job on that retake, and some very odd positioning there by some of their players. We had, I can't quite recall who it was, but maybe Beigel Bites perhaps that was out in the open there in the middle of the site, just getting shot at through heaven. Not opting to go for the fallback there, definitely a bit questionable, but sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get lost in the sauce, as you said earlier, Carlos, so it's all right.
Yeah, I think they were going for a play to close the door. Got blinded by potentially themselves, and in the heat of the moment, they froze up. Now we have Narrow Hermit hanging by Garden. Here's the Spectre shot. Takes a ton of damage onto Titan. They'll walk away with that. The heal is at the ready, so it's coming back. If that is the case, if they will commit it. But now they don't have any information. All they know is that Reyna is holding things tight. Bash now with the Spectre. About to face off into Titan Hunter, who had a bit of a run-in with that earlier. A nice headshot goes to them. Maybe a second, but Fushi's out for revenge, and they get it.
Almost having Beigel bait his own teammate, but thankfully at least the Sage will get one. Nikto is there to quickly at least clap back, able to deal plenty of damage on towards the KO despite them being currently suppressed, has no mitigation against their weaponry or pardon against their guns itself. There goes a flash being tossed out, but Hermit is there to catch Beigel off guard. The lever now being hit by Carbon Drifter, but to no avail. It's not going to help out in the slightest. It allows, Gratorsky to maybe isolate one pick, but now they know exactly where this Neon is located as they now drop into the Lion's Den of B in the 1-on-3 position. Not going to be able to get sent there by the opponent's beacon. Astral Paladin having no idea where Gratorsky actually is playing at, but there isn't a lot of time left for this Neon to go big in this clutch. Could maybe spot out Nikto by themselves. They opt to go for the plant here. A huge whiff, though, by Nikto, and there's still just enough time to get this spike down. Mr. Guy will try to swing in through Catwalk, and Gratorsky is not able to flick behind him in time. Plenty of time left to defuse. What a roller coaster of emotions there. Once again, Carlos.
It's a win here for Finlandia, but the fact that they lost a majority of their bonus guns is huge. Not to mention a plant followed up here for Murray State. So they should have plenty of cash, plenty of funds to move into this third round of the second half. And look good doing it. Gratorsky now with their favorite weapon is the op. They've been known to find serious value with this one, and this should net them mid-control. Bash it, not even close to their ultimate. Nothing to work with. We have some Spectres here, a Ghost even, but that will be about it. All signs point that Murray State can take advantage of this round.
Well, let's just hope that the operator will reign true in the hands of Gratorsky. Still able to hold down plenty of pressure to actually move in through mid quite comfortably. And there goes the battle of all ages between these two teams. Bash is going to lose that first fight against Gratorsky in a very big way, opening up a lot here for the attacking side as they just try to blitzkrieg in through the bomb site. They catch Nikto off guard, and now they've got full pressure to get that plant down. 5 versus 3. Pretty dominating spot to be in, to say the least here, Carlos.
Some smokes out by Astral. But we have Beigel always getting aggressive. This will net some success, though, as there's no real weaponry on that side. But maybe they should have watched their back, or at least considered to keep what they've earned. And now that's a rifle in the hand of Neuro Hermit. If they could walk away from this one, maybe even worthwhile to save it, because that's 2 down. 2 rifles gone. To walk away with it. However, Gratorsky is here. This might be an issue. No, they get the shot in. Because if they lost 2 Vandals and the Operator fellow, that would have been a terrible round.
You know, at least something is better than nothing, I suppose. Hermit did find a couple of exit picks, but like you mentioned, at least the Operator was still there in the grips of Gratorsky, because if not, that would have been a very big fine to have that would have probably not have been purchased once again by the attack. So being able to, once again, similar to Breeze, having that range advantage can really go a long way, especially when we've seen Bash and Gratorsky try to find a lot of head-to-head confrontations against one another. Now having Bash with light armor as well, and only a rifle, if he tries to swing a bit too wide against Gratorsky, that could be once again a 5-on-4 favoring the attacking side of Murray State.
A lot of questions here as they make their aggress, but you gotta be careful. Bagel Bites may not suspect it. That 0 point, it doesn't recognize that Guy Fu. He's here with the judge, and that can be such a deadly one, especially if you walk through the decay. It will rip you to shreds and be a decider of the round, ultimately, if that is a large push coming through. Won't be the case, though, because they are simply weighing their options, and finally, we're seeing some mid-control coming from Murray State. A flash drive to get this one started, and now they'll make a look. And maybe look to the right! Look to the right! Bagel Bites doesn't realize it! And Neuro Hermit does take advantage of it, but regardless, they will be able to get in. Bagel Bites being revived, but no one's there to protect him. What is happening?
All right, then, live bait being used against the Sharks of Finlandia. They still need to actually try to break down the doorway, and now a barrier orb as well. But a very concerning play to basically just bait Beigel a second time in a row. But at least plenty of time has been spent, I suppose. Astral Paladin finds a small opening here and will capitalize off it. Bash will do the exact same thing. We may have another for Fushi, but it is only Carbon. But look at this. They're on the flank up near the top of heaven. Could almost catch out one, but no! Hermit wins the fight, and Finlandia take their 9th round by the skin of their teeth.
And not only that, but Bash has enough points to get that tour de force. They could give the rifle away. I mean, they found an operator as well. Gratorsky couldn't hold on to it for their life. And such a series of misplays coming out from Murray State to just have the res go on the other side, give another orb over to Bash, give them another opportunity to win it out. Losing that man advantage, it is just a difficult round to see fall apart, because it started out with some potential for Murray State, but they threw it all away.
Oh, there's Bash. Talked about the presence there with the snipers once again. This time it's Bash to have all the fun there in the driver's seat. And now Murray State are going to have to be trying to pick at scraps to see what they can manage to bring out here. Not too sure if they're aware Hermit's playing so close in the middle of that top market area. Maybe could catch somebody off guard. Mr. Guy could do the exact same thing, this time through A main, and Gratorsky is none the wiser. LaMarshall comes ringing in out, but Mr. Guy will survive that first initial shot. And now Finlandia are in a huge lead, able to completely deny this play, leading in the tree through both garden and the door itself, leading between tree and A. Now it's only up to of course, the Viper and Killjoy, and that's about it here for Murray State, Carlos, as they are just trying to have ends meet, and now it is only Carbon left to survive so far.
At this point, you have to go for a save. There's no real chance. I mean, of course, there's always a chance, but there's no opportunity here. Neuro Hermit holding the angle. They have some backup coming in from market. All the angles are covered. The second that Carbon even peeks out of this one, they'll have one, but the swing is so wide, and they walk right into the scopes of Bash. And what a round to throw away here again for Murray State. But they got some money. They were lacking on funds, but it kind of seems to be a theme that Murray State has an opportunity, but they lose out on it.
Also, just blindly running into certain angles as well. I mean, it's just been a recurring issue for both Finlandia and Murray State. If you don't have that operator in your pocket, you should probably assume the worst that your opponent does. So trying to go for those long angle engagements without some type of leer or maybe a fast lane is a very risky idea. Gratorsky just getting incredibly aggro here. Hermit's able to get rid of Beigel, and Gratorsky will just fall immediately. by the stronghold position here by Nikto. The swarm grenade is popped out here. The Nikto will have to at least pivot around the other side of boat. But besides that, I mean, they're still in a very comfortable position here on their defensive round. Potentially could bring this up to double digits.
Titan Hunter dropping down. They realize that Nikto is on the other side of that wall, but will they make the commitment? The barrier to get the newer angle is here. Titan Hunter wins it out. Nikto will be felled. However, the fight is just beginning. Maybe as that smoke dissipated, they had a good angle, and yes, the fights go their way. The spike has been planted. The lockdown has been put into play. Astral Paladin misses the shots, and maybe Titan Hunter can win it out. Yes, it will be the case. Mr. Guy now in a 1v2 with the judge, but there are weapons available. They can pick up a rifle, or at least upgrade to the very moment for a Spectre. Fushi is here, lying in wait by the switch, and should suspect anyone coming through. However, it will not be a commitment. They'll grab a rifle and back off, live to fight another day. As the economy, it is still in their favor at the very least, but to just have that rifle, not need to spend it, keep yourself, your armor, your utility, don't risk the fight. It's okay. It's an okay play.
Especially now at having both teams pretty even weaponry, so to speak. Maybe a couple of, shotties here and there, or maybe like a Guardian perhaps, or somebody, or a Marshal. It is going to come down more or less to that ultimate game. Feeling really like if we can once again see some sort of like post plant go down, or just a lot of space being made with either that null or the Viper's Pit happening, this could be a big round for Murray State. And once again, they've got that op advantage as well. The nice little buff to play for mid control much earlier in the round than anticipated could be nice to actually try to deal with any type of onslaught here by Finlandia. But besides that one player of Gratorsky holding down mid, the rest of this pressure is actually dedicated towards A main for the most part.
Poison's off.
Now with that screen going down, and a great utilization of the null command. They have no smokes at the ready, opening it up with the Vipers, but a double commitment to the ult. But does it actually make it in? Can they make it work? No! Look to the right, Mr. Guy finds two. The Viper's Pit goes down. Feigl bites. They're sending out the frag. 3v4. Neuro Hermit makes it easier, but Gratorsky has that play up toward mid. 3 players make the commitment to heaven. Gratorsky barely gets it through. Almost losing out on that op duel, but maybe Feigl bites can do it themselves. They have to back up because here's the lockdown, and just outside of it is Titan Hunter. Doesn't find any connection. But with this sky smoke going down, they go for the full-on site clear. They have the potential to go for the defuse. But do we even have an attempt? The nano swarms will stop them. And such a long play, such a slow play coming out of Gratorsky. You gotta have to come in. You have to make a move.
Player standing.
Oh, here's the defuse, though. Oh, here comes Gratorsky from the backside. There's the right click. It's actually going to be winnable here for the offense. There's no time left to defuse. Bash can maybe find it in compensation. They'll get the kill, but it will not matter, of course, Carlos. And there we have it. The push on the backside. Finally, they had to take their eyes off of Heaven, allowing Gratorsky to get the most valuable kill of that round. Sorry. As we've got double digits actually favoring Murray State. Took them long enough, I suppose.
I can't believe that happened. I cannot believe that they were able to win that one out. The signs pointed that with Bash at the ready, the top fragger in the server, one of the best player here, doing so much damage right now, was unable to win it. It was actually a bit of an issue because the sky smoke blocked them from finishing off the Killjoy. They didn't have the chance to prevent those nano swarms. And in the last moment, the 11th hour before the defusal was put into play, a great overdrive coming through, or high gear to save the day. What a stall. What a play. But now they've already made a quick play over onto B site. The wall is there. Feigl bites doesn't even see someone's right behind him. Awareness a little low on this player, but they still get a kill. Bash now making a move from Marketplace. Also a good attempt for a retake. Only one player defending the spike. Titan Hunter over on mid. Gratorsky playing a long angle, but no, Titan Hunter loses out on mid. There's less support. And this will certainly be a defusal. There's no way you could get there in time, and the spread out play of Murray State is going to cost them again.
Playing for that double retake, a very risky decision to say the least, and also having Carbon Drifter just try to swing wide near B main as well. I really gotta question that, because you had such a powerful position there and you threw it away by just trying to go for a swing way too early, not having anybody there to back you up, or really any hard confirmation if anyone's either, watching for you for a refrag, or just any attacker, at the ready to actually expect you in such an aggressive position. Well, it makes you wonder what was the thought process behind that one. Looks like for Murray State, they are now relegated back for the most part towards pistols, and I believe one stinger, as they are just creeping their way into tree with a very nice conga line that Bash could maybe mark it off potentially with that operator.
And out with the trademark, they're slowed down. Here comes a flash drive. Bash has to reposition, but they will still have the advantage, but they missed the shot. Bagel bites. He starts things up. Now they will continue. They wanted to take away the op, but it only allowed Neural Hermit to pick up 2. Gratorsky, though, with the flank from heaven. They still have to earn site control. Mr. Guy Fu. Wait, you saw the head? You saw the head, Gratorsky! No! They don't get the shot in, but maybe it is up to Carbon Drifter in a 1v2. You have to look right around the corner, but that's the information you need. It's a time to rotate. In fact, that was the perfect move. For the attackers, rather. Just because Mr. Guy Fu sent out that snake bite and realized a much too close battle to contain with an op. Time to move away. And now they will surely get this plant onto B site. With an op for the defense, it's incredibly doable.
No one aggressively holding out against Carbon as well. Looks like the defense will try to play for a retake, which I don't hate. Maybe. If you can push at the exact same time, then you can force Carbon to switch out to the pistol in a last-ditch attempt to try to salvage in this 1 versus 2. But they do have time on their side. A nice sky smoke, though. That's going to hinder the vision of Carbon Drifter. They've got a snake bite at the ready, though. Maybe they could use this smoke as a double-edged sword to maybe catch Finlandia off guard. They'll try to stick the spike, but it's only a bait for that snake bite, of course. Now they know exactly where Carbon is. Spots out the Brimstone, but there's the double swing, and it's good enough to get the job done for Finlandia as they now begin to get rid of that spike, of course, out on the board. And now they've got the round advantage back in their back pocket.
Just back and forth. At the beginning, we didn't really expect much. It was the same round. They did get some stingers on board, and it was a back and forth, a whirlwind. We don't really know what either team can bring to a round. It could go all in the favor of Finlandia in the first moments. And then somehow, Murray State will manage to chain together a series of kills, a flurry of kills, get a site execute, and then manage to lose it all in the end. You never can predict what either of these teams are going to do.
Nope, it's just the Wild West here for this best-of-3 matchup. Once again, it is so close, but yet so far away from being over. Titan Hunter was teasing that lockdown potentially, but because of the Viper's Pet, I don't think they're going to really want to try to go for it here, because there could be some potential team play. But that is the exact opposite. It is just the one-man army here of Mr. Guy and the right next to Wine Stairs. So we'll still have this push not being fully attempted. Only 2 people proxying around waiting for that Viper to fall back. Here comes a well-aimed flash, but the team play once again by Finlandia is spot on. There goes the barrier orb to deny any more damage being done with that operator, but they've already gotten that first pick, so does it really matter at this point, Carlos? I'm not too sure.
Spike down mid.
Fushi may have wanted to go for a res, but the barrier blocked off them, and they had to go around, and guess who was waiting? It was Neuro. They got another kill. Not to mention, the spike was in their possession.
Oh man, they've got no idea where Mr. Guy is in this toxic pit. They are just so confused at this point, Carlos. They just can't quite put their finger on it. Oh no. Even getting the kill with the shorty as well. That's adding insult to injury at this point. What more can you do to him, Finlandia? Well, apparently not all that much. There's Hermit with another. Carbon's gonna fall down, and it is only Titan Hunter left.
This is tough. This is very tough to deal with. No spike, no assistance. You're on the site, but what can you do? No way to plant. All the plays just don't seem to be coming together. It seems that there are no set plays. coming from these squads, they kind of are playing for whatever feels good. And I can tell you right now, fellow, nothing's feeling good for Murray State right now.
Well, I suppose not. And they have a very odd board of weapons as well. They've got tons of ultimates here. So if they don't get proactive in that department, I will be very, and I mean very upset. They could only need to utilize like 2 ult as well, maybe popping out the null or an overdrive as well, and then having something saved for the post plan as well. That could be phenomenal. Looks like we will have at least the Neon and KO ultimate popped out the exact same time. Now almost instant sight control. A Viper's Pit as well. This might be overkill, but at least this could confirm a pretty powerful position for the time being. But it's the Viper that has the spike. They'll need to drop it to another teammate to get that plant down to actually have the B site be a complete stronghold favoring them.
I'm enjoying this position by Gratorsky. This completely locks down market. Whoever wants to go through has to at least pass through it once. There is some opening on the right side. Regardless, they have just all pressed X. Everyone hit the ults. It's gonna be okay. I don't think there are any opportunities at the moment for a retake, but they're gonna go in. They're going to use that stim beacon for the speed, but once they walk into that Viper's Pit, it's all but over. Bash, though, it is not done yet. They managed to get one before they fall down, and it's a resurrection regardless. Neuro Hermit realizes this is a losing battle and will back off, play for some exit frags, and I think they'll manage to get some.
I do not think, Carlos, I have ever seen a round where all 5 attacking ultimates, or pardon, all 5 ultimates on an entire team are popped in the exact same round. At least not in an incredibly long time. Why? That was just way too much. And now you look at it from this perspective. Yes, you have very good weaponry. Don't get me wrong. You have tons of high velocity guns, full armor and whatnot because you got good credits. But you have no ults to play with now at this point, and you've got to deal with both the Tour de Force and the Empress ability. So you have to rely on just only your utility and your guns to bite off this potential third map position and bring yourself into overtime. I mean, just saving a resurrection, maybe having that Viper's Pit or a lockdown, something to at least make more space for your team, that could have went such a long way to potentially guarantee that plus 24 round position.
It's all starting now. Here comes the Empress, popped out by Neuro, but the Speedway grants access into sight. They'll walk into the smoke as well. Maybe this won't be expected by Neuro, and oh, they'll find another hiding in hell. They have no idea. Neuro Hermit is going absolutely massive. They have the spike planted, though. Here comes the Nanos one, but it's actually Fushi with the op. This is a new opportunity. Carbon Drifter has the angle for Heaven, but Titan, they're getting it done. It's a 2v3 going off from door, going off from Heaven. Nick, though, doesn't win it out. Titan Hunter still good for more, maybe even a third, but no, it won't be the case. They're cut off. They have to go through. And they managed to get the kill, but it isn't enough. They've cut themselves off. Finlandia Lions, they will get map 2.
Man, and a single round difference as well, Carlos. That was just way too close for comfort, even though we eventually had the retake be good enough to manage to get that defuse down. I mean, just there was so much to talk about. The hyper aggression, the lack of proper clears once again against just a lone Reyna, even though they had the Empress ability. It may seem frightening, but I feel like not having that ultimate of the lockdown or even anything to properly deny here, I feel like that was just a big issue, like I had started to mention earlier.
Yeah, oh man. This is a back and forth matchup. I would not have been surprised if that thing went to OT again. I feel like there needs to start having some real opportunities, real set pieces, real executes. It like the greatest play that they had was just using all their ultimates. But I mean, maybe we're gonna find some more formulations, real executes as we go on to Fracture, which we'll head over into just a bit. But we'll be back from a break, so don't go anywhere. NECC Valorant continues.
Sell online tickets directly from your school's website. Scan digital or printed tickets with the Hometown Gate app. And get immediate access to ticket revenue with real-time reporting at no cost to your school. It's that easy to bring touchless ticketing to your hometown. Hometown. Fast scans, happy fans.
It takes courage to admit the truth. I've been waiting forever. Didn't dream before, but now I do. Yeah, together we're together. You give me feelings I never felt before. Now I lost my mind, waiting for you to make up your say, but I can't help it. I wanna be with you all the time. You give me feelings I never felt before. Now I lost my mind, waiting for you to make up your say, but I can't help it. And I do anything to make you mine, waiting for you to make up yours. You give me feelings.
Well, Carlos, it looks like we will get the special treat tonight of getting to see Fracture on the board for map number 3 between Murray State and also I believe it is, words are hard, of course, Finlandia. I want to make sure I pronounced it right because it would have been very awkward to butcher their name going into map number 3 after seeing them claw their way back on map number 2 barely with a 13-11 victory. I'm wondering what they can bring out this time around going into map number 3, of course, though.
I think this is going to be just a complete unknown. It's a complete unknown. We have no idea what to expect from either of these squads. I think there will be one consistent, and I think that Neuro Hermit is stepping up in a real serious way. Their plays on Reyna have been definitive, absolutely crucial for Finlandia to come back and find success in that previous round. It also hinged on a great deal of misplays coming from Murray State, but also, they're not unguilty of that one. They have made some of their own, and I think that is a bit of an issue with both of these squads. They've made plenty of mistakes when they've had good attempts at securing rounds and just finding holes to poke through is what either team is doing. The question is, when it comes down to those individual plays, we have Bash, we have Neuro. Is this going to be a big issue for Murray to overcome? I'm certainly thinking so.
Could potentially be. We have seen a couple of, Breach and Brimstone plays here and there, moving into map number 1 and 2. They're both relatively viable options, especially on Fracture, because there are a lot of positions on the map of Fracture where you need like 3 smokes instantly down at the exact same time, which is kind of like one of the cool niches of Brimstones. Maybe we'll see him in play potentially once again. And then having just so many walls to play around, I mean, it only makes sense you'd want to bring the guy who can flash through them, of course. So I wouldn't really be that shocked if we see both of them in play today from either team. It really depends more or less on comfort, especially since a lot of teams don't normally go to Fracture. And I feel like even though this was the decider map, I still feel like we probably did not have Murray State or Finlandia go here all that often, potentially. Not too sure.
I'm enjoying it. I'm excited for Fracture. We never see it, and
Yeah,
maybe
it's always
we're gonna get a good show out of it. I think that is a guarantee. We're gonna have an entertaining matchup, and it will be the decider here for their conference on who's going to be able to step up, because it is between the 4th and 5th seed. So if Finlandia can pull it back, they will take that tie for 4th, and it'll be an interesting one. And I think the one issue I'm having is this going to be another neon round for Gratorsky? I think they finally realized maybe it's time to swap it up. They're hovering the Reyna, they're hovering the Jet. Please do not pick neon.
At least in my mind, Raze is not that bad at all in Fracture either. Once again, great way to make space. Her paint shells are very useful for clearing out a good majority of really either site here on Fracture. So that would be a pretty interesting duelist option as well. It looks like we do have Bash actually opting for that breach pick. Don't get me wrong, he did an amazing job on the chamber, but maybe doesn't know all the proper positions to actually utilize a sniper on it. So can't really blame him with that. So for both lineups so far, pretty straightforward as Fracture goes, I guess, even though we don't really get to see it all that often, Carlos.
Yeah, without a doubt, I'm enjoying the composition that we have on the side of Murray. Much, much stronger. And I think they'll be able to hold down the sites individually. Titan Hunter has been able to lock down sites. They do have the gun skills. So I think moving over to the Jet, giving themselves a new opportunity to take those fights without having to worry about your set pieces, worrying about your Nano Swarm, your turret, or your alarm bot. It gives you more freedom, and it gives the rest of Murray State more freedom. So it will be exciting to see that come back to fruition now. And Fushi as well, reprising the role of the breach. They found some success early on Breeze, so maybe they could reignite that flame that they had previously.
Well, fingers crossed, I suppose. Also, Titan Hunter opting for the Jet too. I mean, we saw them opting for a lot of Killjoy picks, but still getting a lot of picks. So maybe also seeing, once again, you mentioned the high mobility, that could be a pretty big factor as well for Titan Hunter out of all people. Um, and wondering how exactly the offense Finlandia want to opt to go and attack. They seem to be wanting to go from A from both avenues near Dish and also just the back of A as well. So at least they'll have some sort of double prong assault. Thankfully, no funnel here, as it can be quite challenging to actually go for some sort of funnel here, especially on a map like Fracture.
Bash the first one to make their incursion, send out some utility. Maybe a flash will be good. And yes, Gratorsky goes down. However, the fault line splits up the play. Bash will be hit with a concussion. Now a flash to follow it up. It would be blocked off though, so it doesn't matter. No information to be gained, and they
Spike
will
planted.
ensure a plant has been played by Finlandia.
Well, there goes the rotate through the middle ropes. Will it be enough though? Potentially, but it is a very tough thing to try to get yourself back out of here. A 5 versus 2 now, even worse than the 5-on-3, and already your Killjoy is
Last
so
player
low on
standing.
HP. It's basically just Beigel, and now it is only the Astra, supposedly. So they are just going to try to work their way in towards site. They'll find one, but Bash is there with the re-swing. It's going to be Finlandia to take the first pistol round.
And a good one indeed. Only losing one. It is a nice round for them, and I'm interested in Bash's pick of that sheriff, or at least it was a recovery of the sheriff, and they're gonna lean into that one for sure, as they do continue to make the purchases Nikto going instead with light armor and the Spectre. I guess they're opting for just to have an extra money in their pocket, look forward to continuous rounds, buy some utility going forward. But now they're postured again to B this time. Titan realizes that, dashes away, will have some ability to contest this. Getting hit with the fault line will be a bit of an issue. I don't think Fushi, though, is ready for any sort of duel from the top of the ropes. They have the shorty out, but actually Titan starting things off. They get the spike down. They go in for the repeat. That's not going to be a good at range. And now they will be pinched upon, though.
A brilliant Lear, completely denying Titan of finding any more success. Bash gets with a Carbon Drifter as well. Beigel will try to go for the swing to stop the plant from going down. It will work out, but not for very long, unfortunately enough. It's going to be Gratorsky to get one, but there we have it as well. Bash, still being that headstrong player here on the breach, is able to finish things out. 2-0 for Finlandia.
A good start, a great start even. Not many kills going across the board. I mean, Murray State, they have been able to work things out. Beigel Bites really is the true contender at this point. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We are just starting things out. And rifles across the board. Maybe Fushi will go instead for the Spectre. Interesting purchase as they're continuing to hold on to their money. They are a little cautious, maybe expecting to die into this one. As we can see, they are getting very aggressive, very forward. They might walk right into the hands of Nitgo, and they do, losing their life and the weapon in the process. And on the other side, it's a hell of a time here for Murray State. They are getting those kills. The press from A spawn is going horribly. Bash with 2 in a row, and Neuro with another. What is Carbon doing? Carbon, what is going on?
I have no idea. Just trying to make the great dash in through the mid rope to rotate, helping out their team. One thing to note there, the amount of punishment that was dealt out by Finlandia, having that flash and having Murray State once again just overextend out of their mind allowed Bash to actually find a lot of damage there. 3 picks in total. And you know, originally we did see, you know, that favor at least brought out by Murray State to begin with, but it was eventually returned once again by Bash. So once again, this breach pick has really been paying dividends for Finlandia because we still have Bash top fragging out of his mind, just this time not with a sniper, just a much more aggressive role than what we probably expected to begin off this matchup.
Torsky spotted one, but they're not looking in the right corner, but it doesn't matter. Fushi with the blind is there. A good flashpoint, however, on the other side of A will be Bash. They're starting things off. The Cosmic Divide comes through, but it doesn't matter. Actually, it comes in the perfect time. It only saves Beigel Bites for 1 second more as Mr. Guy there for some help. Carbon Drifter, though, waiting for that poison screen to dissipate. It might have a good angle, at least to start things off, but a flash blinds Gratorsky. Their angle's cut off. Now the play is slowed. One more time, but they have the angle over onto Astral. Maybe another one. The dismiss to reposition. A fault line to follow it up. It looks like this is all over for Bash, but maybe they can jump away and make a play of it. No, they're caught up in the action. There were 3 players waiting for it. This will have to be the first time Murray State put it together and they get their first round.
No one able to watch the flank around through the left side through B, and also just having everyone just kind of trapped in minuscule corners to try to hold down some close angles was not enough for Finlandia there. They needed to be much more opened out and expect more than just a funnel back into sight for that retake game, but unfortunately they just weren't able to have that hindsight, I suppose. So it'll be a first round to boot here for Murray State, so at least they've got something going for them for now. But Bash was still an absolute menace to deal with, almost able to make some really sick play happen by actually flashing through their own Cosmic Divide from their teammate. That could have been something marvelous if it actually came in through as some sort of pick, but unfortunately not, at least on round number 4.
Neuro Hermit in a good position, but Titan Hunter starts things off. They go in for the repeat, dash away, send out the Cloud Burst, find safety. The reposition is good, and they'll walk away with a free, easy kill.
Lockdown gets confirmed as well. So this is just a fantastic position here for Murray State, Carlos. I mean, Finlandia, they are going to have to try to retake, but Titan Hunter has still not been dealt with in the slightest. We talk about Beagle Bites overextending plenty of times. There is exhibit probably 7, unfortunately, but it is a 4 versus 2. Now 2 on 3, though. So things have turned a bit better for Finlandia, but they are still technically at a deficit and still have to deal with a pretty challenging retake if they actually manage to get that spike down.
Carbon Drifter starting it up with their own utility as the Nano Swarm into the alarm bot, but now things are looking a bit up here. Finlandia, even though it is a 2v3, they start the Viper's Pit. They realize there's a player in Canteen, but Gratorsky is waiting. They're going through. They won't realize that Mr. Gaifu sitting in the corner has their number. And some good placement here. Actually, they get behind the turret, but maybe that'll be an indicator. Yes, it will be a good shot by Fushi. They've recognized where the player is. There hasn't been enough time bought by Finlandia. It'll be the second round here for Murray.
Close but no cigar. Although we had the Viper's Pit, other than that, there was really no way of denying the retake by Murray State. They were able to once again isolate out Mr. Guy, and it basically rendered them in a pretty rough predicament there. So it's going to be a second round in a row for Murray State. I mean, we have seen 2 separate matchups be so neck and neck between Finlandia and Murray State. I really don't see what's stopping map number 3 from falling in the exact same department, as we're slowly seeing the distance here being made up by Murray State.
And now with only pistols to Finlandia's name, we could expect this will be the equalizer. However, there might be a possibility. They do have some ults at the ready if they want to use the lockdown in an aggressive post-plant scenario. But I think with forward reconnaissance, they have to realize that all the players are coming from drop. I mean, look at both. We have Carbon Drifter sitting over by A main. They realize that Gratorsky sitting by Sand. They know this is the only way to come from because they got the other area completely locked down.
And that's going to, unfortunately, cost a rotation by Finlandia. They're going to try their luck over at the B site. Could maybe see something be clapped back by Murray State as well. They are taking their sweet time, though, expecting maybe a potential bait. But no, it looks like Finlandia are sticking to their guns. They'll have to go up the top of rope. Bash, a beautiful shot as Titan Hunter will fall. Someone that was such a problem to deal with last round is no longer in play. But at least we have Fushi still at the top of Ven, able to get 3, almost a 4th, but is caught with a flash out. Paladin will be able to punish for that to now bring us into 2 versus 3 once again.
Placing sentry. 30 seconds left.
A great opportunity. Bagel Bites setting out a star. It will be the Nebula. They don't have to worry about getting the gravity well pull just yet. But Mr. Guy, out of position, out of health, no weapon to their name. If they get caught in the crosshairs of that turret, it'll be all
10
over.
seconds left.
It'll be all over in 10 seconds because they've waited so long. They have to make a play or they're going for a save, and all that Mr. Guy is bringing into the next round is a sheriff and a little money.
Last player standing.
Oh.
Hate to see it. Yeah, only bringing over a single rifle? Not too sure if it was worth it, but I guess not feeding Murray State any more picks is a viable justification too. Gratorsky still having that operator for the next round could still allow for plenty of long angles to be advantageous for that defensive side. And, you know, we saw at least multifaceted approaches there by Finlandia towards the beginning of these rounds, but now they're kind of falling back into their old habits of just going for 5-man pushes. That's been allowing Murray State to just constantly pivot around those positions and just work a bunch of picks to no refrag being found by Finlandia. And it happens once again as Titan Hunter goes big with the first blood on Jet.
Now a double cloud burst prevents any sight lines, but here comes the rolling thunder. It might be a good opportunity, and in return, it's also a lockdown, a double ultimate usage. This is kind of a strategy we've seen out of either of these teams, dumping in some ultimates to get the job done, and the job will indeed be done. Now with only 2 players left, just all these angles completely covered. Last 2 players, one coming from Canteen, one from Spawn proper, have no real chance, especially with Bash on the up. Fushi maybe wants to go for something in terms of a lone pick to whittle down their armaments, but it is unlikely that that will work out, especially after getting shot and losing that duel.
Yeah, not much Fushi can really do here. One shot away from death. At least they've got the ultimate already for the Rolling Thunder. Next round, moving into the 8th one. And also we have the Emperor's ability too for both Reynas as well. So, not horrible for really either team, I suppose. But Finlandia keeping a strong majority of their player base alive, even denying the flank as well against Fushi. Good shot by Nikto. Is going to be brilliant for the offense. They've got so much currency now to stack up for these next couple of rounds. They've got plenty of weaponry. I think really the only issue is that they are, they don't have a bunch of ultimates already, but one more ultimate pip for Paladin. He'll get the Hunter's Fury. That is a phenomenal thing to have during the post-plant position. And like I mentioned earlier, they've already got the Empress available. So they could maybe use that to enable some sort of early pick once again, maybe in tandem with Bash and his flashes as well. That could be deadly against Murray State, perhaps.
Well, I mean, this will all hinge on whether or not Bash is taken out by Titan Hunter as soon as the round begins. But this fault line will be huge. If it catches Titan, yes, there's no chance for a scope. Wait, oh no, that was just a Marshall. Never mind, I thought they were working with a bit more hardware. And Bash, another great use of that utility, completely blinds Gratorsky. And they'll be A-okay. Fushi wanted some more. They wanted the smoke, but they got none of it. They're backing off over to Dish and just waiting for a potential play. But all these players have made their way back to B. Bites, though, doing what they love most and pushing potentially to find some serious damage. But now they have the information. No one is over by A. Maybe a majority are by Arcade, but it might be a signal for Fushi that they have to get ready for an attack.
Well, Titan Hunter's still just holding here with great patience on top of that tower. And here comes the fall in through by Finlandia. They're going to get another one, 5 versus 3. The first shot with that Marshall being missed, unfortunately. Hermit will not fall in the exact same trope, though. They're able to get a second. Carbon will fall. Titan Hunter missing out on now another shot here. Only one left in the pocket, but at least Bash will go down. But it's only going to be that singular pick. Now it's only Fushi left, caught on the reload here, maybe able to find one. But that spike has still gone down. A good flash, but they cannot break the distance in time to play off that. The recon bolt now giving away this lone breaches position as well. Could allow for an easy swing. Mr. Guy deals a lot of damage, but will lose that fight. But it is a 1 versus 2, and Fushi is basically one shot away from losing their own life. Anything to weaken this man's position could be detrimental, and will now have to try to actually overextend their life to work for these picks. Will spot out Paladin, but cannot react in time, giving a 5th round here for Finlandia.
That was actually a very respectable run by Fushi, dealing out 2 deaths on the side of Finlandia. And, while they were incredibly damaged in the end, they took away some rifles. They took away some of the money. I mean, the money is booming, to be honest, on the side of Finlandia, but it was a noble attempt. However, looking at their economy going forward into round 9, maybe it wasn't the brightest move.
Definitely does beg the question if maybe they had a Phantom as well for Fushi. He could have been much more explosive on the round. But yeah, like you mentioned, it was at least a valid attempt, and really his options being so limited, he did end up trying to go for the best possible option there, that 2 people lined up in tower to maybe win out and still have time to defuse. But back on the topic here for Finlandia, they're going to try to go in towards B with another just full clustered up push. And they haven't worked some sort of pick just yet, so maybe this funnel could be a big issue for them if we see the transition here by Murray State happen in a timely manner.
Yeah, just an easy take, but Gratorsky is here all alone. They have been spotted, setting out the leader, but maybe they can get something to work here. Yes, Nitko goes down. The spike has been put into play. Gratorsky is still looking for more. Bash now under control. They found their first kill. Neuro starting to hit back. This is a 2v2. The Empress versus maybe even worse, the Hunter. You have to move. It's a defusal. Neuro Hermit. They weren't around in time. They were hanging out by Arcade, and they lost out on stopping the defusal, and so much was committed there.
Playing way too far from that spike and not able to refrag in due time. A fantastic idea there by Murray State just to stick that defuse because they already had it halved. And man, Hermit, that must be just a major facepalm there, because Finlandia should have most definitely have had that. Their site presence was so confrontational Yet they still lost because the retake game was just able to snuff them out more than enough. Able to get a 4th round here for Murray State. And finally, we're having some sort of multi-approach here by Finlandia. They're testing the waters in both A and B as they no longer want to put all their eggs into one basket, apparently, Carlos.
Ooh, nice opening there for Neuro. And that might be what they need to get this attack started. A lot of utility over in A main. They have to make it through. They will destroy the alarm bot before anyone is vulnerable. And Carbon Drifter goes for the peak, and they will be punished and receive that Rolling Thunder. However, Titan Hunter wants to make a move. They want to utilize that Blade Storm. They find one, maybe even a second, but they run out. Bring out the Ghost. They get a tap. Over onto their opponent is Mr. Guy. They still survive. They go for the plant. Looking away. It's Astral Paladin, but now a Lear will seal their fate. Gratorsky coming through. They only got a Marshall, but then, you know what? A no-scope is exactly what they're going for. Neuro Hermit with a nice 4K to load out their 10th round, or the 10th round. And they're on their way. They're on their way for a successful half.
Looking like we might have Finlandia actually take the advantage, perhaps, when the first round is over and done with. Maybe. Don't want to jinx them just yet. I'll knock on wood, maybe, to not do that. But I did like how they started poking and prodding a bit more rather than just kind of diving in deep without anything to work off of. They didn't go for just a whole one-sided push. They actually took their time to spot out anyone that overextended. That's exactly what happened. They got the first pick. They doubled down on that, and then they got proper site control. And even though they lost a couple of players in that process, it didn't matter because they were just in a basically just a perfect position, essentially, once that spike had gone down. And it looks like they'll try for that once again. This time, though, going for that full 5-man approach inside of A, but they've got a Viper's Pit, so I guess that makes up for it slightly.
Oh, yeah, this was a gamble stack over to B, and they played it 50-50. It's a respectable one to do, but they guessed wrong. However, in response, it's coming out with the lockdown, and everyone will be caught in it. Nitgo, though, is lighting up the players who want to run through. They will finally take them down. However, Carbon Drifter, the lone player, left alive to try and win it out for Murray State Blue, and it will not be done by all means. Yes, Neuro Hermit will seal their fates. And it was a garbage round. It was exactly what we expected, running in with classics, but Gratorsky did make a rather large commitment, not enough to buy a rifle and armor. So that must have been some sort of misjudgment. They can only bring in a Marshall again.
I mean, Gratorsky has been opting to go for these sniper plays time in and time again. This time, though, it'll be different. In Ares on the board. I kind of like that because Gratorsky hasn't been super impactful with the Marshall against rifles in full armor. So I think this will be a much easier weapon to utilize when you don't have much to actually work with. These are the cards you've been dealt with, so just try your best to actually play with them. A Hunter's Fury gets popped very early on for some sort of opening pick, but it does not work out at all. And now you don't have that piece of valuable utility for the post plant. And so far, we don't have a lot in terms of watching this flank, but with those flashes coming through by Fushi, that will give away his intentions. He has backup by the Lear, but it's not in quick enough time, and now Finlandia, they've got a strong advantage once again, and Carbon loses several different gunfights. It's only Beigel, and they're just caught in such a do-or-die position, and the ladder will happen to them. 8-4 split for Finlandia. This is probably the farthest round deficit we have seen in the entire matchup tonight, Carlos.
Finlandia has started to wake up without a doubt. Bash, Neuro Hermit are really going insane these last couple of rounds. 18-16. These are the top two fraggers here in the server. They're showing us exactly why Finlandia has what it takes to come through and win it here on the decider of Fracture. I'm excited to see what they can bring, though, when it comes to working on the defense, because they work so well using those the flashpoints, the Lears, the aftershocks even, to open up plays, but how will they use those abilities to deter plays?
Well, not too sure, to be honest. I mean, I don't think we've really seen a lot of like proactive usage of Astral utility. Like a couple Cosmic Divide, yes, but even then they weren't all that impactful. A couple of Astral Nebulas get deployed early on. That could be quite nice for some choke points denied. That actually works out for Murray State. So far, not too shabby at all. But the spike gets dropped at the top of tower. That could be a big concern. 3 versus 3. Gratorsky trying to get aggressive. After run out of ammunition, goes on the reload here. A bit vulnerable from that snake bite, but can finally pivot back. But having that spike dropped, a very big blunder indeed for Murray State. And now they've lost the man advantage. It is equalized, but they still got to go recover that spike, of course, Carlos. This is not looking good for him at all.
Last player standing.
I thought for a moment that NECC was about to lose that one out. They still have themselves protected. We're position revealed. Bushi has played their hand. They're running for it. And they might as well. Spike recovered. And they've got 40 seconds to make their play. Oh, and there it is. That's the sound cue. But maybe they can win it out. A damage through the box. But no, NECC wins it.
Man, that was an interesting round there by NECC, but she was able to win it out. So good for her. And yeah, I really don't know why when you want to go for like a B main push, such a direct approach, you don't have your spike player going there, especially when you have all those Astra smokes deployed. It's just like a single file line. That's all you need to get inside a sight. I get it. That tower is such an important place to clear out, but when you're by yourself with that spike, that is such a heavy commitment, and then the defense can just tailor their positioning around that spike being dropped. So once again, a huge blunder by Murray State, and now they're going to pay for it because they lose this first pistol round, or pardon, second pistol round in the second half, sorry. And now they're going to have pretty rough weaponry moving forward into this next round in the second half as well. And yeah, it is going to just show completely because of that. It's already a 2 versus 4, and it's only a matter of time before we see this round end out potentially with either side coming out. At least Gratorsky finds something to maybe get that spike down, but Fushi will fall as well. Once again, just not in a good spot with that spike. Where have I seen this one before?
Oh man, I'm not sure. I think sometimes Murray State forgets who they give the spike to. But now, Gratorsky in a great position. They still might be able to win this one out. 50 seconds left. And if they could just, honestly, DM this one, just win it out straight by fragging out, this is so doable. In fact, they could recover the spike and run it back to B. There is time. It might be tight. They could get it done. But rather, this player only knows force. And that's exactly what they're going to give. But also, Astral Paladin steps up and sends it right back. Their 4th frag of the game. Better late than never. To make that impact, Astral Paladin clutches it out.
6th round advantage now for Finlandia. This could be the one moment where Murray State can finally break the ice, though, and maybe, pun intended, fracture it too. But they don't even have like that great of weapon technically on like their full buy round. They've got 2 Spectres still, and maybe we'll have Gratorsky buy a rifle, but no armor, if not light armor. This is still a very choppy situation. No, out of all things, they'll go for the Marshal. Okay, then. Bit odd, but all right.
We got Marshall Mathers here, really enjoying that weapon. Let's see if they can make some use out of it. Oh, a nice opener for Titan. That was a good shot. Now Astral Paladin sends out the recon drone. You gotta pull out the gun quickly, and the dig comes through, but it won't be enough. NECC might be able to pull out 2. Yes, the flash does it. 3 even. NECC.
Oh my goodness, NECC, she's going insane. The top of tower gets the Vandal as well. In the post-plant position, those could be a tough retake, but oh no. They've got no clue. Mr. Guy was so close with a shotgun. The lockdown gets popped as well. Are we going to see this as a comeback here for Finlandia? We've got Carbon still holding strong, though. 1 versus 1. The lockdown is over. But here comes a snake bite being deployed. Carbon can simply evade it, though. The timer's still favoring the offense. Mr. Guy will have to try to break the distance here, and I don't think there's any time left. Oh my goodness. NECC almost bringing that one back, Carlos. You've got to give credit where credit is due, but that should not have, honestly, gotten that close, man.
Yeah, a lot of great shots coming out from NECC. She really had a great impact over in tower. That was awesome to see. That was crazy, and it definitely will put a dent over into Murray State Blue. In fact, the Titan has opted to go for the Sheriff and some light armor. Maybe he wants to give a buy over to a teammate because it will only take one orb if they want to utilize that Blade Storm going into the next round as well. The same deal for Carbon. So if they could get that position, get those orbs in play for those two crucial players, I think it could be another set piece for them to win another round, especially now that more investment has been put by Finlandia. It all depends on BagelBite's initial play. They will be caught out. They will be made vulnerable, but a flash is huge in conjunction with the fault line. It gets two.
Much better team play out by the offense. Here's some sort of response by Finlandia, but finally it gets stopped by Fushi. Murray State can now begin to go for that plant. The retake game is not going to be as powerful because of that deficit, but there's Mr. Guy to open things up. Fushi now gone. 2 versus 2. Carbon very low on HP, almost overextends their life, but it was only for a nanostorm. They're not going to continue to hold that angle that predominantly. Got Bash actually trying to get a bit aggressive, perhaps. Mr. Guy as well, not able to win that fight against Gratorsky. There goes the concussive, but it's not able to connect towards Gratorsky. He's able to evade it, but not the flash. Bash still trying to win this gunfight, but cannot do it. Murray State take a 6th round, and they are slowly making their way back in this second half.
Wow. I want to go back to the beginning play. That Fushi, fault line, and flashpoints allowed a great play for BagelBite. They took control of tower. That was a very bolstered position held by Finlandia, and losing both of those players meant you have zero control of the site. The lone player in Canteen, Mr. Guy Fu, was looking for the shots. They were able to find one, and impressively so. But in the end, without that positional advantage, it was very difficult to maintain your control. Bash getting a lot of information now to start off the 17th round.
Well, Finlandia, they still have plenty of rounds to bleed, but for how long can that saying actually be true? There goes a lockdown popped out here by Murray State that could eventually open up things quite well for them. So will Titan Hunter in terms of the kill department. That lockdown now being destroyed. Here comes the double play by both the Sova and actually Killjoy, but only nets them one, and they fall by the same player of Gratorsky. Carbon gets rid of Bash as well, leaving Mr. Guy, someone who has found a mild amount of success in a couple of rounds, all alone. But they're not going to even find a singular pick in compensation. 7-10. Murray State, they are still on the come up in this second half.
Now we got some weapons on the side of Finlandia. We have the Viper's Pit as well, so it should be a good tool of site denial. Wherever Viper activates that ultimate, wherever Mr. Guy Fu decides to play, that will not be a point of contention here for Murray State, but they have always been looking their eyes toward B for the most previous rounds. In fact, the last ones is where they found their success. However, this time, they're changing their sights. It looks like a posture toward A, and while we do have the 2 top fraggers from this squad, that being Finlandia, holding the site down, can they win the 2v5?
Well, guess we'll have to wait and see. We have seen a couple of, star hero plays happen before in the site when it is only some like Titan Hunter, for example, but they were also out on the Killjoy, someone who is very good at able to deny a couple of key entryways inside of the site. There goes Fushi with that opening pick, and a Cosmic Divide to quickly follow up after. No one able to stop this plant from going down. It will be another powerful position for Murray State to hold, as it is still that 5-on-4. Bash is able to spot out one uncontested player of Fushi, but might get called their pants down as well. Thankfully not, but no, I misread it. Eagle's able to get them over and done with. 3 versus 3 now for the retake.
Well, great spot over by Sam, but they didn't realize it was on the other side of that box. It's not wall bangable. Now it's just 2v3. Make that a 1v3. BagelBite has that impact, and Astral Paladin will be hard pressed to win this one out. A difficult one indeed.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to do this one. Might as well just save the rifle over into the next round. The economy not boasting all that well for Finlandia either. I am completely thrilled that Murray State have been able to actually begin to show themselves basically coming back to life here in this second half. That's their 4th round in a row, and now Titan Hunter can get even more aggressive by whipping out the operator. I keep bringing up this talking point, of course, of having that sniper, but it's just such a good gun put in the right hands. We saw Bash do brilliant stuff with both the Operator and also the Tour de Force when they were on the Chamber. We've seen Gratorsky out on the Neon, a very questionable agent for the Operator, but still doing plenty of damage with that, just simply by being an aimer. And now we can maybe see Titan Hunter step up to the plate as well here on map number 3, but that's if someone actually ends up peeking him, because at the moment, that's not going to be the case.
Weigel Bites spotted out. Might be a little bit difficult, but only a bit of damage. Nothing too serious when you have that turret. Neuro, Hermit, they're ready for this one. They're postured up. They're sending out the smokes, the Viper Orb to cause maybe some confusion, but Gratorsky opens it up. Astral Paladin goes down. That should be. They're in. Fushi is pushed up so far by the generator. Once that smoke dissipates, they'll have the angle, completely cutting it off. Even though they're concussed, Carbon Drifter finds the plant. They set up the set pieces. Here's a flashpoint. Maybe it should be the opener, but Gratorsky keeps the pressure coming. Bash, though. The Spectre will find that value. A Neuro Hermit with the Empress goes around. They're going to have the flank, both of them. They want to make an execute through the tower, but it won't be good, at least not for one. Now Bash has to win 1v2. Have some stars. Maybe at the ready. Maybe they could do a pull. He's shooting out the nanoswarms, but it doesn't matter because Killjoy's dead. There's nothing they could do. Pushing through the smoke, it might be good. They find one. You have to get another, but it won't be good. Weigel Bites wins it.
Why, Bash, do you have your knife out? It's a 1 versus 1. The Astra was so low, and they bring over the Operator because the spike could not detonate in time to bring Weigel down with them. Oh my goodness. Out of all of the times to have your knife out in the middle of the site in a 1 versus 1, that's probably not the best time to go for it, especially when you have no idea where that Astra could be playing at. Once again, just a ton of blunders being made by both teams at this point, and you know, Murray State, they're just making the less significant blunders, and they're able to mark it off that one strength so far. I mean, it only makes sense why they're only at a single round deficit when at their worst position. It was 6 rounds favoring Finlandia, 10-4, and now we've seen them just be completely flustered in the second half as they have made no leeway against Murray State.
Here comes that lockdown. Weigel Bites opens it up with 2. What a way to get things going, and there's a player detained as well. Here's the flank from Bash. It works out, but the trade is still in the favor of Murray State Blue. A flashpoint out. No one there to receive it. Control of Heaven completely owned by Murray State, and this should be an easy win. Yes, indeed, the equalizer for Murray State. It seems they've gotten their plans together. They are unstoppable as a unit, only using the lockdown for that one, well, as well as the Empress. But they still have more at the ready if Weigel Bites wants to use that Cosmic Divide as well.
I mean, even with or without the Empress ability, Carlos, Gratorsky has just been so methodical on the Reyna play, really perfecting the craft, and I genuinely feel like he is doing much better in comparison to when he was playing the Neon, 110%. So I'm very happy along with you that we saw that transition finally happen on the most important map in this series, the one that actually guarantees you that victory here, a Fracture. Finlandia, they're having to go for a very jumbled buy, so this could in theory be the first time we see Murray State in a pretty good advantage on map number 3. It's just if they allow Finlandia to play into their strengths this time about. But to be honest here, Carlos, like I mentioned with the jumbled up buy, I don't think there are many strengths at the moment here for Finlandia here on number 21.
No, it's not seeming to be that case. Titan Hunter, no, they will not be the object of it. They do trigger the aggro of the turret, and it's a complete free sight. Here's a shorty potentially out of here for Bash. They don't find it. Backing off, Gratorsky plays for their life. They send out a Lear. Mr. Gaifu might be able to be caught by Sands. They get a few tags in, but it won't be enough. Backing away. Actually, they opt to not take the fight. Interesting play. We know there could be anyone around the corner. Titan Hunter lowers the numbers by another. With the Apple looking toward CTs for defender spawn. It is going to be okay. They have this completely under their control.
And, you know, I love the positioning here overall by Murray State as well, not just all grouped up in the middle of the site. It's a 5 versus 1 at this point, but having, you know, your operator player watching your screens, you've got some site pressure, but still falling back near that main hallway as well. It causes complete and utter chaos for Finlandia when they have to retake that site when they're already at the deficit and dealing with that one-shot capability of the operator. So It only makes sense why they weren't able to really get that much leeway there on that previous round, but only a couple pistols and some small SMGs. Hermit may have survived the entourage there, but I mean, it just really was all for naught. And now Murray State have brought themselves finally in the round advantage after such a long fight, but man, have they deserved it.
I mean, look at that round feed. It's been, what, 7 in a row here for Murray State. They have been putting their nose to the grindstone. They have been putting in the work. It's going so well for them. They only need to land 2 more rounds to win it all in this best of 3. And there just seems to be no real response from Finlandia.
Nope, not just yet. Oh, well, here comes the Rolling Thunder, potentially to maybe do something. We got Paladin completely concussed, but not being fully dealt with. Oh, there's a beautiful flash, though. Paladin finds one with a lucky blind fire, or, well, predicted blind fire, I should say. It wasn't really all that much luck, but it was only that one pick. Hermit manages to secure a single frag, though. That's not too shabby, and a lockdown gets popped in through during this post plant. So in the midst of all of this action, we have Finlandia kind of trying to trek their way back into some sort of advantage here, but with no players being detained and now a cosmic divide to make this retake very challenging, this could be all but for naught. But no, Finlandia, they managed to bring it back. The overextension out by Murray State and not properly playing around that cosmic divide will be their impending doom as things finally turn for the better for Finlandia.
Back again, the equalizer is here. Once the Finlandia realized, uh-oh, we're in a bit of a danger position, they really turned on the Jets. They didn't have to commit too much. It was just a simple use of the, that lockdown by Nikto, putting it by the canteen, forcing them into the back angle on Heaven. They didn't have much room to work with because the second that lockdown was put into play, it was an immediate push coming in from the defenders. Now it's a time to strike back. You want to get at minimum match point, securing your OT. Neuro Hermit wins the duel. Titan Hunter loses the op, and no one's there to recover it. It might be the case that if they keep losing these picks, they're unsure of what to do. They could start to break.
Murray State might be getting a bit too confident here in these positions, but Gratorsky will able to hold strong for the rest of Murray State. There is that equalizer. Viper gone too now. That's a pretty valuable pick as well. Bash will try to get aggressive. No flash to help themselves, but at least they'll outduel Gratorsky. So there we have it, Finlandia back in the lead. But we still have the rest of Murray State still trying their luck on this A push. Carbon catches out Nikto, but no, they missed such an important shot. Finlandia still having that advantage. They might be able to completely collapse upon A and be able to just simply win out against Murray State here to guarantee match and series point, especially since they still have that man advantage.
Last player standing.
Beigel Bites was unsure of where to look. They are traded though. Fushi, the last man standing. They will be pinched. They realize they have to. Behind this block is going to be Fushi, but wait a minute. The diffuser's going in. Are they going to be going around quick enough? No, they thought it was a fake. They got it done. It's match point for Finlandia. And the death.
Point.
Oh, just kicking him while he's down. Can't be doing that to my poor man Fushi. Well, I expected Finlandia to take match point there on that round because they had the man advantage, but not in that way. Such a discombobulated round once again. I feel like that could be the word of the day because we have seen just so many out of this world attempts by both Finlandia and Murray, and some of them just really missing their mark. There have been strides of greatness, but I feel like not enough to really write home about this time around here, Carlos. And you know, we have seen overtime before, but we've also seen close calls here. Finlandia, they've been able to wrap things out 13-11 to stop Murray State from winning a map before an ascent. Can they do it again?
Well, this is going to be an issue. They don't have anyone to defend it. It's the lone Mr. Guy. No way. Mr. Guy dropped on. They don't realize he's there. Oh my God, Mr. Guy wins it, but they're killed immediately. But they did buy some time. Bash now has rotated. They are by the rope. Neuro Hermit